Good evening. Good evening, Altadena. Good evening, council members. The Altadena Town Council meeting for May 15, 2018 is called to order. The time now is 7:08. For the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll have Councilmember Knapp to introduce the group that will be leading in tonight's Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today we welcome the Boy Scouts from Troop 21 who will lead us in the pledge. Troop 21 is part of the Greater Los Angeles Area Council and member of the Rose Bowl District. They are chartered by the First Church of the Nazarene located in Pasadena. Scouting provides youth with opportunities to try new things, make a difference in the local community, build self-confidence, and reinforce ethical standards. These experiences then carry into adulthood, helping them become better leaders, citizens, and people by improving the Scouts' relationships, work, and family lives. I'd like to introduce the Scouts in order of their highest rank, at which point they will process forward once I read all your names. Miles Jackson, Life Scout, 10th grade, St. Francis High School. Cole Jackson, First Class Scout, 7th grade, Blair Middle School. Marco Georgian, 2nd Class Scout, 6th grade, Pasadena Christian School. Jack Betancourt, Tenderfoot, 7th grade, High Point Academy. Evan Goldfarb, Scout, 5th grade, Willard Elementary School. Cameron Lynn, Scout, 5th grade, Longley Way Elementary School. And Anton Potts, Scout, 5th grade, High Point Academy.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to come to lead the Altadena Town Council May 15, 2018 a Pledge of Allegiance. And thank you so much, Councilmember Knapp, for making that to happen. And we thank the parents that took the time to come. You don't have to leave. We encourage you to stay and see what the Town Council is all about. Okay, moving on with the roll call, Councilmember Matthews.
Good evening, everyone. Council, please acknowledge your presence when your name is called. Nestor Torre. Present. Okorie Ezieme.
Present.
Veronica Jones.
Present.
Victoria Knapp.
Present.
Jennifer Lee.
Present.
Billy Malone.
Present.
Diane Markison.
Here.
Judy Matthews, yes, present. Justin Robinson.
Here.
Gloria Sanyika.
Present.
Patricia Sutherlen.
Here.
Dr. Sandra Thomas.
I'm present.
Sylvia Vega.
Here.
John White.
Here.
Dr. Reginald Wilkins.
Present.
And Dorothy Wong.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Everyone is present.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Matthews. And let's talk about item number 1.3, and that will be May 15, 2018 agenda. That will be Councilmember Sutherlen.
I want to let you know that the Executive Committee met on last Tuesday, May the 8th, to set the agenda. Any requests from individual council members were included in this agenda. There have been a couple of additions since then, so please make a note. Number 6.5, there's a brief report from the Education Committee. And on 7.1, Councilmember Knapp will make the report for the library. Are there any other additions or corrections that need to be made?
Yes.
I will be speaking on behalf of Doug Cauliflower.
Okay, for the chamber?
Yeah,
Yeah.
7.2.
Okay. Any others? In that case, I move to accept the agenda as amended.
Okay, council members, you have heard the agenda and the additions to the agenda properly seconded. What is your wish? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposing? Anyone abstaining? Okay, that will be an agenda for tonight. Thank you so much, Councilmember Sutherlen. The item was 7.5. Was
What?
it 7.5, the one? 6.5. I added the Education
Yes,
Committee,
yes.
and there was one other one.
Library is Victoria? Library,
Okay,
instead of Ryan.
okay.
Okay.
So Councilmember Knapp, right? Okay. Okay, officers' report. Tonight, because we have a very full agenda, the only thing that I would like to leave with us is that those 4 favorite words that I like to use, and that is progressive ideas and community engagement. That is why this room is always full, because we have engaged the community. And we've also done something that we believe is also contributing to the community coming out, which is bringing the public comments instead of all the way to the end of the meeting. It is now somewhere towards the middle, towards the top. So we really appreciate the community participating, and we like to continue to see you come support your town council and make your voices to be heard. So every other thing I will reserve at the appropriate time. That concludes my remarks. And Vice Chair, Councilmember Sutherlen.
Yes, I'm not sure if everyone here happened to read the extra sign that we posted on the piano tonight regarding the public comments. There are public comment cards on the piano. If you'd like to make public comment, please complete one of the cards. Print your name carefully so that I can read it, please, when I call on you. If you'd like a response, because we do not respond to public comment at the meeting, please make sure that we have your phone number or email address clearly, and we'll make sure that the appropriate council member will respond to you. Tonight, public comment will be allowed in three different places. We have general public comment, which is item 4 on the agenda, and we have public comment on the 2 action items that will be listed under Land Use Committee. So there will be separate public comment on those 2 items and general public comment as item number 4. I would ask you, if you have requested a response from the council on whatever your comment may be, to be just a little bit patient, because we're going to make sure that the appropriate council member, which would be your council member, so if you put your address, we'll know where you live and we'll know who your council person is. And I have to figure out how to scan those into my computer, and as soon as I do that, then you should get a response from your council member. And nothing to do with this, but just in case, because people have been asking when that parking lot next to the fire station is going to be available for use. And the last that I heard is that it would be available sometime this summer. So that's the end.
Okay, thank you so much, Councilmember Sutherlen. And moving on to item number 2.3, and that will be the Recording Secretary's report, and that's Councilmember Matthews.
Council, on Thursday, May 10th, 2018, you were provided the proposed April 17th, 2018 meeting minutes with a response date of May 14th, 2018. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Not hearing any corrections or additions to the minutes, I move that the proposed meeting minutes of April 17th, 2018 be accepted as presented with the supporting attachments.
Second.
Okay, I like that. So you've heard the motion to accept the minutes of previous meeting, properly motioned and seconded by Councilmember Sanyika. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposing? Anyone abstaining?
Abstain.
One abstention? Okay. It is approved. And item number 2.4, and that will be the Treasurer's report, and that's Councilmember White.
Thank you, Chair. The account is in good standing with a balance of $23.78. We will circulate a can. We ask for contributions. These contributions help support our various expenses, including the website and the upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember White. Corresponding Secretary, Councilmember De La Torre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the corresponding front, we received one newsletter from the United Teachers of Pasadena, their monthly newsletter. And on the website front, I'm currently in talks with the contractor who records these meetings to get somehow either on our website or on another website access to an archive of previous meeting minutes so that they're publicly available for anybody who would like to. Currently, if you are interested, they are available at the library, at the Altadena Library, the main branch, if you would like to check those out. But on the other front, we want to make sure that they're more visible, so we're trying to get online access for those. And that completes my report.
Thank you so much, Councilmember De La Torre. Public safety reports, and let's start with the CHP, and that will be Officer Cooper. Yeah, okay.
How's everybody doing tonight? So I've got with me the collision stats for the month of April. It looks like we had 22 property damage only collisions. We had 5 collisions that had some form of injury. We had 0 fatalities, and there were 2 DUI arrests made for the stats. I've got one thing I just wanted to mention because we're ending up coming to the end of the school year, the end of this month, and there's going to be a lot of events going on at the schools, a lot of presentations and such. So I just wanted to make sure that I put out there that we need to be a little extra patient and cautious for pedestrians and traffic around the schools because there's going to be an influx of people at the schools for these events. So let's try to finish up the end of the school year safe and make sure that everybody gets home okay. And other than that, I don't have anything unless somebody's got a question for me.
Any questions from council? Okay, so let's start with Councilmember Knapp.
Although I know you'll cover this during our meeting in June, can you speak at all to what happened at Altadena Drive in Allen yesterday? We had 2 major collisions. One occurred about 1:15, and then soon thereafter at about 4:30. Do you know anything? If you don't, you can report in June. I just thought in case you had it on the top
I'll
of your
have to
head.
get back to you. This is my first day back. I was actually up in Sacramento for a week, so I just got back and put the stats. But I'll look into it.
Okay.
And I'll see what we've got, and I'll update you next month when we come back.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jones.
I just wanted to thank you. I got an email and a phone call because I guess you're patrolling at Jackson more, and there was a car there this morning. And I got an email saying, thank you, the parents behaved, and everybody felt safer. So thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay, Councilmember Malone.
I have a quick question. Somebody, and I'm not sure if this comes under your jurisdiction, so excuse me if I'm missing it. In my census track, I have somebody that said they've been noticing activity outside of the house all day long. People, the same car shows up, another car shows up, they exchange money and other things, and it happens all day, every day. They've contacted the sheriffs and waiting to hear back, but I was just wondering, it doesn't take place on any property, it takes place only on the street.
Okay.
Is this something that's within your jurisdiction as well, or is this sheriff?
It's Probably because it's possible, I mean, it's something that we can drive by and evaluate and see what's going on as well, and then make that determination as to
Okay.
whether it's an issue that has to do with traffic or whether it has to do with crime, which the sheriffs would handle, depending on what it is.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's something that we can drive by. If you want to email, you have my email address?
Yeah,
don't
I
you?
do.
Just
So I'll mail
me
you on
the-
the side and find out.
Just email me the information, and I'll go by and check it out.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome back. 3.2, Altadena Sheriff Station, and that will be, I see, Captain Stocky.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chair and Altadena Town Council members. Tonight, I'd like to introduce a new lieutenant who's assigned to Altadena Station. I'd like to introduce to you Lieutenant Alex Canchola. This is Alex. Alex is a 31-year veteran of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and he comes to us via industry station. Lieutenant Canchola has worked a variety of assignments, including patrol and the CEO's office. He will be my new operations lieutenant. Lieutenant Clay is now over the Detective Bureau, and Lieutenant Octave transferred to the Task Force for Regional Auto Theft, also known as TRAP. So Lieutenant Alex Canchola will be the operations lieutenant, and I'll get his email address to you also. So regarding April 28th, 2018, compared to the month of the previous month, we went from 43 incidents to 49, mainly due to increases in residential burglaries from 4 to 12. And the burglaries were, and also the larceny thefts and the vehicle burglaries went from 6 to 13. We had a decrease in the following areas of aggravated assaults from 6 to 1, larceny, shoplifting from 5 to 0, and GTAs from 8 to 5. So in Census Tract 4610, that's where the largest increase was on residential burglaries from 0 to 7. And so on 4/22, that's April 23rd, we detained 4 juveniles and determined they had stolen a vehicle and burglarized a victim's home. All 4 of the juveniles were detained and they were transported to juvenile hall. On 4/29, we also responded to another burglary in that same census tract, and we detained 4 juveniles who we determined had burglarized 4 homes. These juveniles were also detained and transported to juvenile hall. There were a total, in all of these incidents, we had a total of about 6 juveniles involved in all these residential burglaries, and we're still trying to see if they're involved in anything else. So I can't answer any questions, but do know that we're aware that, and these kids were being detained at juvenile hall. So I'd like to also remind the citizens that if you see something suspicious in your neighborhood, always give us a call. Please do not depend on someone else to report a crime. We want our town and our neighborhoods always to remain safe. Also, summer is upon us, and we're going to have a summer enforcement team again this year, thanks to Supervisor Barger. They will be comprised of 2 deputies from Altadena Station, 1 deputy from Crescenta Valley Station, and a sergeant. And just, Mr. Malone asked a question about Allen and Altadena Drive, about TC? Was it Allen? Was it Allen and Altadena Drive? Yes. So, okay, so one of them was involved a radio car. Did you see that one? Okay, so our sergeant was going eastbound on Altadena Drive, approaching Allen, and I believe that the other driver was going westbound. She had a mechanical failure on her vehicle, and she struck the radio car on the driver's side and the passenger's door. The sergeant was transported to the hospital with just complaint of pain, and he was released last evening. The female of the other vehicle complained of pain, and she was also transported. But they were both released from the hospital. So I don't know about the first one, but the second one was involved, one of our sergeants on the PM shift. Also, if I can just share with you guys, and I have some flyers that I put out on the back table, that on Saturday, June 9th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're going to have our annual car show at Farnsworth Park. There are entry forms and flyers on the back table. And if anyone has any questions out in the audience, you can call the station and ask for the Community Relations Office. And we'd like to see your unique vehicles in our car show. And that concludes my report. If there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Captain. Any questions from council? Okay, how do you spell, just for the community, we'd like to come a little bit closer.
Canchola,
Yeah,
C-A-N-C-H-O-L-A.
yeah, I know how to spell it out, just for the community.
Oh, okay. And like I said, I'll get his email address to the chair, and then he can share it with everyone on the town council.
Okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Captain.
All right.
And welcome on board. Okay. County Fire, Ms. Kraken.
I usually get here early enough to distribute these, but I didn't tonight. I apologize. Okay, so copies are coming around for you. For the month of April, we had a total of 310 responses in Altadena. 253 of those were for medical calls, and of those, we did transport 195 patients. We had 3 fires. One was a vehicle fire on Palm Street. One was a trash fire on Oxford Avenue. And then the third one on April 30th on Mountain View Street was a structure fire. Luckily, it was contained pretty quickly, but it was contents that were on a floor and in close proximity to a floor heater that was in the hallway. So the contents got a little too close to the floor heater, and then they ignited. We were able to rescue 1 cat from that. So we were successful in that. Everybody likes to hear about that, right? And then we had a few power lines down, 5 of them. 1 was wires down, but 4 power lines down. And then there were the 9 traffic collisions, and 2 of those involved pedestrians, and 2 of them were persons trapped. And we have, oh, that's it? Oh, I didn't put it on here. I apologize, but we do have brush inspections that are underway now.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Kraken? Once again, thank you.
You're welcome.
General,
You want to mention that the safety reports will be on the website?
go ahead.
Just to mention that the public safety reports that you just heard are going to be, correct me if I'm not correct, Nestor, posted shortly on the website.
Yes.
Yeah.
As soon as I can.
As soon as he can.
Thank you so much for that heads up here. General public comment.
Okay, when I call your name, would you please come up to the microphone? Lisa Vanderveld.
Hello, Lisa Vanderveld, and I am the much shorter and less handsome Vandervelde representative from the Map Your Neighborhood Committee. And I realize that our full report is postponed till June, but I could not wait till June to announce our upcoming training, which is this Sunday, which is May 20th. It's 4 to 6:30 at Altadena Town and Country Club. And I have really fun little small reminder business cards that I'm going to leave on the back piano. And if anyone is interested in training yourself or your neighborhood for disaster preparedness, they can pick these up on the way out, and that'll remind them the date and time, and they can respond. I'd also like to quickly thank Victoria Knapp for being the latest town council member to prepare her cul-de-sac for disaster, because she completed her Map Your Neighborhood. And then Councilmember Wong has set a date, and she is targeting a date to complete her section. And Councilmember Vega, same thing. She is working on hers as well. So thank you very much. I'll put these on the back piano for anyone who's interested.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we timing?
No.
Michael O'Leary? Michael O'Leary.
Mihal, yes,
Mihal.
thank you. Thank you, Chairman Ezieme and council members. Mihal O'Leary, former mayor of Culver City and candidate for Board of Equalisation. I just wanted to offer my services to the members or the public who want to know more about this very estranged position, Board of Equalisation, that has had its powers diminished, in fact, taken away by the governor and the legislature, and not to underestimate the importance of this position in the upcoming June election. The Board of Equalisation, while it had its powers stripped, the position, which is for LA County and Ventura County, has traditionally been the chairmanship of the board, and in that role becomes the member of the Franchise Tax Board. And if the polling, as has been shared with us, according to the polling, the governor may be from Northern California. Betty Yee, the controller, will remain as controller of Northern California. Treasurer Fiona Ma, Northern California. Both senators, Northern California. And if it all goes that way, there will be no voice for Southern California except in this role as Board of Equalisation. So if the public or members would like to know more about the importance of this particular position, I'm available. I'll leave my information with the recording secretary. Thank you for your time, and good luck this evening.
Thank you, and good luck to you too.
Okay, I'll read this one. Mark Mariscal has left a public comment. He couldn't stay, but he wanted to make sure that we told everyone that the Friends of the Library are holding their annual book sale this Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. So.
All right, one second.
Thank you. Okay. Valerie Tolliver.
Hello, my name is Valerie Tolliver, and I work in the community. I work right across the street at Lawrence and Colbert. I am doing a community give back on August the 12th at Farnsworth Park. I have a nonprofit. It's called Love Olive Branches. We branch out and try to help the community. I do haircuts for free, backpacks, school supplies, so gift cards. So this is what I do. It's my 6th annual year of doing this. I will be dealing with special needs. I have a special need brother that I take care of. We will have a talent show for our youth from ages 5 to 17 to showcase their gifts of whatever the gift is. We will be dealing with seniors that day, and we will have information out there for the community of the seniors, the youth, and the special needs. I have flyers. The flyers will be in the back. I have a letter that we have donations. We're accepting school supplies. We're accepting all that we can to support the family of Altadena and Pasadena.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tolliver. We really appreciate what you are doing in the community. Again, it's Love Olive Branches. It's a 501c3 organization. This is the 6th annual Back to School. And the event is August 12th. and it will be at the Francois Park from 12 to 4 p.m. And Francois Park is at 568 eastbound curve. So again, thank you, and I'll be seeing you there.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Karen Gibson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Neighbors Building a Better Altadena this evening, just to announce our upcoming candidate forum. Now, we don't have contested seats for our town council this year, but that's okay, because we can still have a forum and have a wonderful informal talk with our candidates. So I hope you'll all come. It's on May 30th. That's a Wednesday evening from 4 to 8:30 p.m. in this very room. And I have flyers, where else? On the piano. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
That's all public comment.
Okay. Special recognition, item number 5.1, and Councilmember De La Torre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In accordance with the chair's beliefs that we should be more involved in our community, we've been recognizing individuals or businesses throughout the month or every month so we can be more involved with the community. Dr. Thomas, under the Community Relations Committee, saw fit, since it's the month of May and Cinco de Mayo just recently passed, to recognize a Mexican-American, someone from the Mexican-American community. She came to me for advice, and I thought of the one of the few Mexican restaurants in my census tract, which is called Motas. Unfortunately, due to personal reasons, they couldn't be here, but I would like to read off the recognition. So this is in a certificate of recognition presented to Motas Mexican Food in recognition of 17 outstanding years of business. Thank you to Adolfo and Irene Mota for your contributions to the Altadena community, signed Okorie Ezieme, Chair. So thank you to their contributions and their delicious food.
Okay, that was very brief. You said 5 minutes, but I think it took like 1 minute. Okay, committee reports, land use, and Councilmember Marcuson.
Okay, thank you very much. We had 2 items that we reviewed at the last Land Use Committee, and we did recommend approval without conditions of one of the projects which Justin will present and is handing out documentation for.
Thank you. So what's coming your way, what's before us is a project at 2432 El Molino Avenue, which is just north of Mendocino, right? Right. Sorry, my brain's not working so good today. It's 3 parcels totaling approximately 24,000 square feet. 2 of those lots, it's a very deep property. So the 2 lots in the back, away from the street, currently have single-family homes on them. The 1 lot at El Molino is vacant. And notably, that's the only one of the 3 lots that has frontage on El Molino. So the owner would like to build himself a single-family home on that vacant lot, but the county is requiring that all 3 lots be redrawn so that some portion of each lot touches or fronts El Molino, resulting in 2 flag lots and 1 rectangular lot. This is considered a minor subdivision requiring a tentative parcel map. So the zoning for all 3 lots today is R2, and should this be approved by the county, it would remain R2. So, per the county's guidance, the applicant has approached the town council for a letter of support for his tentative parcel map. Neighbors living at 19 addresses immediately adjacent to the project were asked directly or were provided printed information about the project on Friday, April 13th, including contact information for Pat and for myself. Of those, 6 are in favor or have no opinion, 2 are opposed. The rest were not home or have yet to respond with an opinion. One mentioned concerns regarding noise impacts from construction and was advised that there are set hours within which construction is allowed, and we encourage them to report construction done outside those hours to us or to the county. Another expressed concerns regarding loss of trees and was satisfied on seeing on the site plan exactly which of the trees will be removed, which is not a lot. So the applicant is here tonight. Mr. Chair, if we want to hear from him, he'll give us he'll talk to us a little bit about his project, and give us a presentation on that.
I'll really leave it up to you, so however you direct the
Carmichael?
council, that's what we'll do.
Turn it on. Oh.
Short. So, just as you're aware, since you presented to 13 of the 16 people up here 2 weeks ago, most of the folks up here who are going to vote on this are aware of the project, and so I think you can breeze through parts of it. Breeze through parts of it.
Sure.
Don't feel like you need to go too deep.
No, I will do my best to expedite the process.
No, it's not those. Those are, oh, yeah.
Those lights aren't helping probably.
Okay, we got a visual. So I will breeze through it. He's the microphone. Yeah, I'll get through. Sorry. Should we stand there? Oh, yeah. Can't make that happen, sorry.
All right. So red circle identifies where we are now. The red rectangle down where it says Diodora and El Molino is the property. As Justin mentioned, it is 80 by 300. That's the depth of the property. I will go through it. Those are the three parcels. The turquoise represents the two existing structures. The red dot represents where the proposed house wants to be situated in or about. You've probably driven by it a number of times. As you can see the open lot at the front, I'll just breeze through it. You see the middle house, and then very far back there is the sort of the rear house. This is the vacant part of the property, and I'll just go through this quickly. Again, just different perspectives looking at the property. There is one oak tree. Most of the trees, if not all trees, will be preserved. The only trees that will be cut down will be those that are being required by the county for the street widening on El Molino for sidewalk and curb alignment. But none of those trees are protected in any way. And I'll just jump down. This is the existing house to kind of give a sense of scale. This house is about 24 to 25 feet tall. The proposed houses will be in or about the same thing, 25 to, I can't go more than 30, so that's the maximum height limit in the area. And this is looking back towards El Molino. So this driveway, the existing driveway, then becomes part of that flag lot that Justin mentioned. So each of the two properties in the back will share a widened driveway that will be 20 feet per fire regulation. And then that provides this diagram that you had before you. So each of the lots has a dedication to El Molino, and then the sort of the blue overlay is then a reciprocal agreement allowing the two the middle property and the rear property to share that driveway. And then, of course, the third one, which is against El Molino, doesn't necessarily need a driveway because it will be sharing, it won't need its own separate driveway. Everybody shares one driveway. That's it in a nutshell.
All right, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. And can we shut down the light?
Potentially.
Thank you. Okay, so are you ready for a motion on this or
Sure.
any discussions? Yeah, the motion, then we have a discussion.
All right. I move that the Altadena Town Council write a letter to the county in support of Project RPPL 2018-000805, a proposed tentative parcel map for 2432 El Molino Avenue without conditions.
Okay, so I believe that's the land use heard it, and the land use is making that recommendation to the body.
That's correct. That's why it ended up before us tonight.
Thank you. Okay, so you have heard the motion. Okay. Thank you so much, Land Use Chair. So you have heard the motion is properly seconded, and any further discussions from council? Okay, Councilmember Malone?
Yeah, I'm just looking at this and wondering where the off-site parking is for each of the first two properties.
So there was a question that came up at the Land Use Committee meeting about parking. Would the applicant tell us about parking plans for the property?
Yeah, so the county requires parking for any kind of residential development. So the rear property already has a garage within the unit, and maybe it's not. The middle property, there is a sort of square indent there. That is the proposed garage area for the middle property. And then the proposed house at the front will have a garage within it. So all the parking's on site.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions from council? Okay, you've heard the motion, properly seconded and discussed.
Public comment.
Okay. All right, so you've heard the motion is properly seconded, and it's been discussed by the council. Now, let's go to public comments on this.
There is no public, there are no public comments.
Okay, so.
I just didn't want you to forget it.
Yeah, you don't have any? Okay, there are no public comments, so. All right, so now, council members, are you all ready for the vote?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposing? Anyone abstaining? Okay, here it is. So it is, the council has voted to write a recommendation to the regional planning for the subdivision. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is, I'll turn it back to the chair of the land use, Councilmember Markison.
Okay, hang on. Here, can you take one of those and pass it down? Take one of those and pass it down. So we're going to, the Land Use Committee met on this project at the beginning of the month. We reviewed the project, reviewed the conditions, which we have reviewed many times, the original conditions. We will do our presentation tonight of the information regarding the last condition that we would be adding. Just as a quick summary, this project has been worked on for quite a number of years now. The list of conditions is long and is meant to respond to community comment that we've had over the past at least 3 years, I guess. We recently, at our last town council meeting, we had some public comment from the Meadows group, or residents from the Meadows, I should say. And I expect that we will have some comments tonight from them regarding the perceived impact on their area, which we understand. We will have a discussion of those comments once we hear them. But we do want to go through the presentation that we have for the final condition. Judy will be into the record. Mr. Chair, we will read into the record all of the conditions at the time of the conditions, because that's what we are recommending. The Land Use Committee is recommending that the project be approved with conditions, and we have the big long list of conditions. We had a unanimous vote on that. What we've handed out to you is a PowerPoint presentation that we will do first, and then we'll have Michelle, Zach will come up and we'll talk about our video that we have as well, okay? So I'm going to relocate. Can we turn off like one of those lights as well? Okay, so when we, about 18 months ago, the Land Use Committee approved this project with the conditions that Judy has read a number of times into the record. At that time, the committee actually approved the project to go to the town council. And when it got to the town council, it was clear that there were still community members that were not feeling as if the committee had come up, the town council had come up with enough conditions that would make the community feel as if they had, that all of their complaints were accommodated. So as a result, we sent it back to the Land Use Committee, and we realized that although this project has nothing to do with Lavinia 1, there's a lot of leftover, a lot of you will know, a lot of leftover bad feelings about Lavinia 1. And so what we wanted to do was have one condition with which we could maybe find parity of and close the Lavinia 1 project and the Lavinia 2 project all at once. Okay, having said that, this is a PowerPoint that'll show you how we went through our process to subcommittee. Go ahead. Yeah. So we had, as I said, a community concern about the loss from the original project. So we put together a subcommittee that included the people that you see listed there, 2 of the census tract people from the census tract over in that area where Lavinia is, and then some people from the community who represented various interests of the community. Go ahead. So when the committee first started meeting, we tried to put together what we thought parity might be if we could come up with some way to make the community feel as if we had found a good fit for a condition that would give us some parity. And you can see there this is the qualifications or what happened with the Lavinia location. There's 8 acres of open space. And there was apparently a building that burnt down, I think, in Lavinia that was historic and supposed to have been saved. You can see that the community overall felt as if they had lost some of those, one or more of those problems with the school site not being opened. Okay, go ahead. So the committee got together and Judy Matthews in particular did a huge, she did a lot of research on teen centers. We know that the Parks Assessment had the teen center as one of the items, and so we wanted to make sure that we looked at that to see if that was something that might be helpful. But we went through all of this work. Judy actually went out of state, looked at some different parks, talked to the Altadena Library about a location for a teen center. Loma Alta, she found, might have been the best location, but there were a lot of challenges with doing that, one of which is that we are not going to have ongoing financial support for this, and so the county won't support it. However, we know that there's a Parks Assessment, I keep saying it wrong, Part A, whatever, where we're going to get money, thank you, Measure A, that we're getting from, that we have the opportunity, and people from the town council are actually working on getting funding through that for parks. What was actually great that we found out was that we were able to tell the Loma Alta park representatives that the teens were not so happy with their location there, their teen room, and so they're working with them to help redesign the existing teen room. And county staff also is talking to PUSD about more teen activities there. So our inquiry, we were happy to say, got a couple of things going for us on that site. What we found was that the Owen Brown grave site land, which is 6 acres in the middle of a landlocked area, is and has the Owen Brown grave site on it, was for sale. And so we have been working really for the last 18 months, I guess, really on trying to work out getting that land. There have been comments about that we didn't talk a lot about this, and part of that is because getting the land has been a challenge, and the owner has been a challenge. And as I think Michelle will talk about some efforts that have been done in the past to try to get that land. So we were trying whatever tact we could get to get it, and which is why we didn't talk about it earlier. So you can see that there are adjudicated trails on that area. You have to go through private land to get up in there. But we're really excited about the fact that the two, what we're losing, right, we're in the Lavinia site, and what we can gain in the Owen Brown grave site is really pretty spectacular as far as parity is concerned. And what we very much want to do is get I don't know if you know that the headstone for Owen Brown's grave was misplaced for a while. It's been found, it's been located, we know who has it. And Michelle will talk about the history of that, but we want to go ahead and restore that. So that's what we have. Go ahead, yeah. So what we are recommending is that the developer has committed, is Tim here? Yeah, oh, there he is, okay. So Tim Cantwell has committed to securing the land. We're getting quite close as far as I can tell, like within weeks maybe of finding out whether we're going to get the land. He's also committed to providing an additional funding of $300,000 to be managed through an endowment, which will be directed by some community members, is what our vision is, tightly controlled, and to be used for historical preservation, documentation of the site, and ongoing maintenance of the land. We'll talk about the maintenance of the land. I think Michelle will talk about, and we'll have somebody here from Outward Bound Adventures. And once we have the grave site restored and the land the way we want it, then we want to turn it over to a conservancy for permanent management, and want to make sure between now and then that we do whatever we can to ensure that that property is not going to be in a land swap or some other, right? We'll do everything that we can do. The county will help us do everything that we can do to make sure that legally we've covered that land to stay with the conservancy and not leave, the Altadena area. Okay, so yeah. So we have a couple of pictures for those of you that don't know what we're talking about. This is part of the trail to the site that goes, a bunch of switchbacks. Go ahead. This is looking down on Lavinia. So they'll look up to the land, but the Lavinia area is down. It's harder to see without the lights on, or with the lights on, but there's a big open area down there in the middle that is the school site. Go ahead. And then this is what that says is here lies Owen Brown, although you can't see it very well tonight. So that's the area of the grave site. That's what we have. So Michelle Zach is here. She was on our committee, as you know, sort of representing Altadena heritage, but also representing someone who is extremely knowledgeable and literally wrote the book on the history of Altadena. So we're going to let her speak a little bit about some of the different piece parts, and then we'll watch our video. I hope. Well, it's that light is the problem. I think it's really that light. So I don't know, can you guys turn off that other light too? No, she's going to speak. And then if you can turn off, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane, and good evening to everyone, to the council. I just want to share a very short film. It's really a PSA. It's only about 3 minutes about the history of this piece of land and and what we're hoping to do with this project, which is really quite an incredible opportunity. I'd like to say that, that it's quite within reach now. I mean, and that for many years, different groups, starting with Altadena Heritage in the late 80s, tried to get this land and get a protective ordinance on it. So did Altadena Foothills Conservancy. So did possibly Save the Altadena Trails. And the problem has always been that as long as if land is in private hands and the people aren't amenable to protecting it historically, it's very difficult to do. So that is why the main goal of what we've been working on is to get the land, protect it for posterity. So that's what we want to do. And we have in the hills behind us a very dramatic and important piece of American history. So we would also, it's like we feel it's a sacred trust and that we would like to finally protect this land. That is the goal. And Owen Brown is the son of John Brown. This little film briefly explains his role as a leading abolitionist. His father, John Brown, tried to start a war, tried to, attack at Harper's Ferry, the armory, and turn arms over to the slaves to start a slave rebellion. And he remains a very controversial figure. Was he a martyr to freedom, a madman, a religious fanatic, or was he just, a fervent Christian who is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to try to rid our country of slavery? So because of this, these questions continue to be argued, and it's very controversial. That's why he's so interesting and so teachable, and how it seems that his story even resonates with, with our country today. It's still a very live and lively matter. So, but whatever you think about Owen Brown, what is indisputable is that he had a really significant part in American history, and his son Owen was involved in the raid and came and settled in the hills here. So the film barely scratches the surface, but let's just take a look at it, and I'll, say a couple words afterwards too, and then if there are any questions. Thank you. Let's see if the film works this time. Let's see. Oh, I had it queued up. There it is. Oh.
We had it running actually before the meeting, guys. Seriously, we did. But we've had a lot of people using the. And I'm a PC, so I'm no help.
Well, maybe I'll say something now that I was going to say afterwards, is that one of the groups that we're hoping to partner with is Outward Bound Adventure, and I don't know if Charles Thomas is going to be here tonight and even, bring a couple of his kids. They're based in John Muir High School, and Outward Bound Adventure has been around for about 30 years, and they work with local kids and a lot of, at-risk kids whose family don't give them a lot of wilderness experience. And what we are going to propose is that some of these kids, they have programs where they would be in a very supervised role, like some work teams would go up there of 5 or 6 kids with a supervisor and help maintain the land and get it in good shape and do any trail work, clear brush, just a variety of opportunities for them, and so they can have an opportunity to learn teamwork and working together and how to work. And so to help get them going in life.
Pick up trash.
Pick up trash, if there's any trash left by hikers. I mean, I will say that this land, it is landlocked, but it has gone to court twice, and public access has already been adjudicated. So this is not really an issue, but it's not an easy site to get to, and our project is not going to change that one whit, because you have to hike in.
Right.
So, and what we're hoping to do is to document, gather together a lot of the history, particularly as it pertains to Owen Brown and the history here in Altadena, and to document that.
His sister.
And to, pardon?
His sister here too is.
Oh yeah, his sister Ruth Thompson Brown was here. And I will say that I worked for 9 years on a Teaching American History grant, 3 different grants. And what we did was we worked with teachers, and we would take them to the graveyard where Ruth Thompson and her husband, Henry Thompson, who were involved in the Potawatomi raids, and then, take a few teachers up the hill, help them understand this history, so they're then able to inspire their students and to have a local hook. Okay, here we go.
Now, do we have sound?
I
Yeah, I know. You want picture and sound? Uh-oh.
Above Altadena, California, on a hill called Little Round Top, named after a key fight in the Civil War's decisive Battle of Gettysburg, sits a sign. It marks the final resting spot of Owen Brown, son of John Brown, the American abolitionist. But how did it get here, and why is it important?
John Brown was the leading violent abolitionist of his day. He had practiced the Civil War in many respects in Kansas in the middle of the 1850s. And then in 1859, he takes that practiced Civil War on the road to Harper's Ferry to try to liberate the armory there of its weapons and give them to slaves. John Brown had a very large family. He had 20 children. Many of his children are involved in his abolitionist activities in Kansas, and then a number of them participate in Harper's Ferry, including his son Owen. Brown is captured by Robert E. Lee, who will soon lead, of course, the Confederate troops in the Civil War. The aftermath of the John Brown raid on Harper's Ferry is that a number of the conspirators are hanged, the most famous of which is John Brown, which is in many respects the most famous American death of the period next to Abraham Lincoln's. In the aftermath of the raid on Harper's Ferry, Owen Brown becomes a fugitive from justice and lives a life on the run for a couple of decades. In the meantime, one of his sisters and one of his brothers had settled here in Southern California. So upon contact with his sister Ruth and his brother Jason, Owen is encouraged to come to Southern California. And he does in 1880 and lives here for nearly a decade, right here in the mountains of the San Gabriels. For years, while the Brown family members live here, they befriended and were befriended by the African American community that made visits to see all of them. And upon his death in 1889, Owen Brown's funeral becomes a major event here in Pasadena and the foothills above it, attracting several thousand people, white and black alike, to pay tribute to one of the most important abolitionist families and members of that family in American history.
Today we have an opportunity to preserve and commemorate Owen Brown's gravesite, a place of significant American and local history. Transferring this land from a private ownership into a land conservancy will ensure open access to it today and tomorrow. Residents, including youth, will be enriched by raising awareness of this link between Altadena and events leading up to and following the Civil War. Saving this site is a profound service to the diverse community that lies beneath it, and honors Altadenans today who realize the importance of history and the lessons it has to teach us and our children. One group that will help develop Owen Brown's gravesite is Outward Bound Adventures. For the last 20 years, OBA has educated and trained local underserved youth in outdoor activities and careers in nature, conservation, and leadership. Developing the Owen Brown gravesite and improving nearby trails has public health benefits and adds value to our community. Owen and John Brown's stories enrich students' understanding of the Civil War and westward expansion. Teachers who know local stories connected to national history make the subject come alive for their students.
What I would like to add is that because this site, it's never been part of our project to make this like a big school project, because it's not, the schools don't even have money for buses to take kids to school anymore. They certainly don't have buses to take them on field trips. So that is not the intention at all. But we do want to document and share this history in a way that is going to be helpful to kids, to adults, to hikers, to bikers. Since the site is, the access exists, and our project doesn't change that at all. I don't know if there are any questions for me, or are we going to, what's next?
Well,
Diane? Should we just move on?
We're going to move on to
public comment?
Public comment, yeah. So go ahead. If there's any questions from the council for
I have
Michelle.
a quick question. Only because it keeps coming up that the property is landlocked. And just for reference, if I'm correct, it's landlocked from the south by Lincoln Water. Am I correct? So it's not landlocked by residential properties that people would have to cross their property to get to it. There's commercial property linked that it's being locked by.
Well, it's not quite that simple. There is a road up there, but it's a private road, and it's owned by a guy named Theo Clark, who has 20 acres up that's directly adjacent to this. And Theo was sorry that he couldn't be here tonight. He's the most impacted person by this project, and he supports it completely. He does not want people coming up and parking on his land. That's not going to be allowed. You really have to walk into this site. But it's like when the access, there's like a grandfathered-in easement that people are allowed to walk up the road.
Yeah, my only point was it kind of sounds like a negative that it's landlocked, but it isn't because, like you're saying.
There's no water on it right now. It is slated, it could be developed. And especially with the price of real estate being as high as it is, it could start to make more sense to develop it. Someone who's willing to spend, several $100,000 on what it would take to get in the utilities and get it, but, there could, a McMansion could appear up there if it's not protected.
We can get actually more information from Tim Cantwell, who had his folks do an actual diagram of so if we have specific questions on that, we'll be happy to get those answered probably Tim can do that. I did want to say to all of you, before you have public comment, you're all aware you received the petition from the Meadows folks that are here. And we did meet with them. The committee met with them last night or two of them anyway, representatives, last night to go over a lot of there were some misconceptions, I think, that are listed in the petition, but we'll let them make public comment, and then we'll see what their positions are now. So I guess go ahead and go to public comment. Pat?
Sure. What I'd like to do is to, that's okay. Let's go over the public comments.
Do you have a limit, a time limit for the public
how many
comment?
do we
I don't know
have? 15. Wow. Okay, so that would be 8:45 if we did that. If we did 2 minutes. Okay, try to be as brief as you can, but this is important, so we're going to go 2 minutes. So at 15, we're looking at half an hour, so hopefully we can cut it down. So let's, the first speaker, maybe call
Yes,
three.
I'm
Call
going
three.
to read 3 names, please. First, Charles Thomas.
Yeah, we're not sure. We don't think he's here.
He had a fundraiser.
Yeah, and he's not been able. Oh,
Okay.
oh, he's out in the, okay, he's going to be first up. He's coming.
All right.
Well, no,
And-
he's here. He's coming. He's got some kids with him, I think.
Okay, and then Tim Gregory and Marietta Cruz.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I brought our future with us tonight. We have Louis and Scholar and Justice, Roberto, and Azia. Where's Azia? Oh, she's in the restroom. So these are a small sampling of the kids that will benefit from the project. They are well aware of what's happening. They will be part of the crew that helps maintain the project. So we want to thank you all for your consideration of inviting Outward Bound Adventures to be part of this wonderful project. And fundamentally, I just wanted the kids to step up and say something about what OBA means to them. Louis, you want to come in here?
Hello, everybody. My name's Louie. I haven't been a member of OBA for a long time, but from what I can tell from me starting at the beginning of this year, OBA really helps kids like off the streets because you can tell it's not getting any better out there with kids getting involved into gangs, street violence. And I feel like OBA is really out there to help our future, get back to our roots, nature, where we started coming from, and like you end up connecting with yourself a little bit more, and like connecting with everybody else around you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Ezieme Polk. I am with OBA, and I just wanted to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to preserve a little piece of history right here in Pasadena. It's not often that we get that opportunity, and from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Scholar, and I've been part of OBA for about a year and a half now, and I think it's a good opportunity for kids, like she said, to get off the streets and to get outdoors, to go on trips. Like we went on this Sierra trip last summer, and like we saw a lot of wilderness and fish, and yeah, and OBA is a good organization for kids to get in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know you guys got a busy agenda, so we won't take up too much more of your time. Just want to make sure that you guys know that we are associated with the conservancy that's going to be assuming the stewardship of the property. And once that happens, our group, these 5 young folks, along with, we have about 30 other folks in the program, will be actually helping to maintain the site that's up there. So thank you for your consideration in making sure that young folks are involved in this project. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have Tim Gregory.
Careful.
Good evening. I'm Tim Gregory. I was the founding chairman of Altadena Heritage back 30 years ago. And it's amazing. It was exactly 30 years ago that we started talking about the Owen Brown gravesite. We had heard that the then owner was planning to obliterate the gravesite. He didn't want anything to do with it. So we thought we better do something. So we applied for County Point of Historic Interest, which wouldn't necessarily legally protect the gravesite, but it would really upgrade its profile in the community because so many people didn't even know it was there. So we spent about a year working on this application. We got unanimous support from the County Landmarks Commission. We got letters of support from the Town Council and the NAACP and a lot of other community organizations. And then it went up to the state, and even though it was called County Point of Historic Interest, the State Office of Historic Preservation had to ratify it. And that's where we ran into problems, because they said, well, we don't do grave sites or cemeteries. So the staff recommended to the State Resources Commission that they not approve it. And so that was the end of that. Times have changed a lot, and now grave sites and that kind of thing are considered. So we didn't know what to do at that point, and then the then owner made good on his threat, and we assume it was him, took the gravestone off and rolled it down the hill. And there it stood, was hidden for years until somebody found it. So I'm very gratified to think that 30 years later, we're making some progress on this, because it's way overdue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marietta?
Hello, everybody. You've heard from me a lot here. Some of the audience hasn't. And I just want to say I've lived here since 1983, and I've been a member of this subcommittee and happy to have served on it. My name is Pearls, and for those of you who do not know me, you haven't paid attention to water issues. You haven't paid attention to the big dig. You haven't paid attention to the water transfer from Arroyo Seco to Eaton Canyon, and you've missed Lavinia. Other than the developer here, and maybe a couple other faces I see, nobody spent more time on this subject than I have. So as I sat down and joined this subcommittee, one of the things that we did was we reflected back on the meeting that was had 3 years earlier, where people came in and complained about Lavinia too. And they said, we're missing out on something. Something's not being done right here. So this subcommittee took this on, and it wasn't easy. And they came up with a list of parameters, and they looked to strike a balance. And we did wrestle with the teen center. I was a big proponent of the teen center. And when we finally settled in on Owen Brown's gravesite, I have to tell you, I became more inspired on this subject than I have on anything else I've done here. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody here about it. And so right now, we feel we've struck this fabulous balance. And one of the things that's been unique, and one of the things that maybe Friends of Lavinia didn't think about, was the opportunity to go to the developer and look him in the eye and say, you know, you live here too. What's the chance we can get you to take off your developer's hat and decide that you want to partner up with us and do something for the community? And that is what Michelle Zach and I did. And we have Tim Cantwell here sitting next to me tonight. And I'm happy to say that he not only is a partner of this project, but he's a friend. So
Thank you.
I think we have a new opportunity here to resolve a lot of old hurts from this development. And we have a new opportunity to protect the most important part of our local foothills here, to protect Owen Brown's gravesite and everything behind it. Civil War, race relations, you name it, it's here. And it's here right now in our present day. So I'm hoping that this group will embrace this plan and this project. And I know that Tim Cantwell is going to go along with me on this as well. And I'm happy to say, this is a great resolution for Altadena. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Can we have Randy Bayer? And then Jane Szabo and Sherry Asplund.
My name is Randy Baer. I'm a homeowner on Canyon Crest Road, and I think I'm going to speak for a lot of us tonight. Personally, I appreciate all the hard work you've done on this. I think it's a great idea to a point. As we brought up 2 weeks ago, the devil is in the details as always. And I don't want my concerns to be construed as complaints, and there is a difference. My concerns of this, those of my neighbors, is that this is a narrow 2-lane road access up there, limited public access as it is already. The protection of the site, getting it out of private getting it out of private hands and into a conservancy of some sort is a wonderful idea. The details are, and my caveats are, having worked with nonprofits, is that I don't feel that we should limit ourselves with the language that we're going to propose to the county and regional planning. Separate issues of the setting up the conservancy, I suggest that we do not encourage or limit ourselves to educational development, all this. It's going to take a lot of money for an endowment to keep this thing going. When you get into trails with the outward bound, I'm sure you're going to run up against county restrictions and on trails, and they got to meet certain dimensions and all that stuff. And so I think the more general you keep this, the better it's going to be. Happy to work with anyone when it comes up with it in the future. But I think that the more general we keep our recommendation to the county, the better off we're going to be and the more protections we're going to have for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jane Sabo, and thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak on this. Just a little background, I am deeply involved with the history of the Owen Brown site. I was one of 3 original parties to create an association to preserve access to that location and was involved in litigation for a decade of dealing with issues related to this site, so I know it intimately. I do fully support the replacing of the original tombstone on the location and public access to that spot. That said, I really haven't heard any conversation about how to mitigate the impact of this to the meadows. I hear conversations that it's hard to get to. It's not that hard. I walk up there every day. There's roads, Rising Hill and El Prieto, that neighbors are concerned about excess parking along the roadways as people come up to access it. We already have issues with people, kids coming up to hang out, smoke cigarettes, litter, drink beer at the reservoir. Again, I fully support returning the tombstone to this location, but unless we discuss how to deal with the impact to this community, I can't support rushing ahead into it. And that's my question. What is the rush? I don't think this property is at risk of being developed. It has many easements on it. The lawsuit that we participated in has already put that grave site location in protected status as a court order. Cars are not allowed to drive on, there's no motorized vehicles allowed on the fire road. There are already limitations that make this property not likely to be developed in my mind. What if we did nothing? What if we waited 30 days and talked about it as a community? I think there was a lot of upset and anger because nobody in the meadows was really contacted about all of these proposals. And I think it would be healthy to give us an opportunity to discuss it. And I still think the tombstone could be returned even if the property wasn't purchased by a conservancy. And I'll
Thank
leave
you.
it at that.
Hi, my name's Sherry Asplund. I also live in the Meadows, and I was one of the other, with Jane, with our original lawsuits to restore access to the gravesite, among our other suits. So in general, having now met with the subcommittee and hearing much more of the details, we were really concerned when we heard in the video the words development of the gravesite. That really raised a red flag for me at the Land Use Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago. We've heard a lot more about the intentions, which I think in general are good, but I think we all need to be really vigilant. I appreciate your taking the time to listen to our concerns and to address them. And just, I'd like you to know going forward that those of us who live there on either side of this gravesite property will continue to be concerned about bringing more people up. Yes, it has public access and we think that's great, but we need to be concerned about fires. That's our big concern up there, is the potential for fire, and the more people that come and leave their cigarettes and even build little fires, that's what we're always concerned about. So, you know, I can basically support the project as long as you will listen to our concerns, take them into account, and do all that we can as a community together to mitigate the concerns, to maybe not publicize if it goes through and the gravestone is returned, to not make a big deal about it, to not have a big ceremony of any kind to draw more people there, because it's already drawing a lot of people just as it is right now. So again, thank you for all your work and your efforts and for taking our
Thank you.
concerns into account.
Thank you.
Lori Paul, and then Greg Stanton, and Joni Ledger-Donnelly.
Thank you. As many of you know, I've probably opposed to Lavinia more than most. I'm a co-founder of what was originally Altadena Foothills Conservancy, and I know that the original owner of the Owen Brown's grave site, is crazy as a March hare. Was camping up there and almost set fire to things with water bottles that were laid up there and became magnifiers. This property also abuts the National Forest, and as I've told some of you before, it's very, very significant wildlife habitat. It's very essential that it remain in its wild state. Abuts to the north. It's an area that was opened with thanks to Sherry Asplund and Jane and everyone for public access. We all have trust issues, and we have a lot of damage to our collective community that goes back to the county doing certain things that are negative. But I also want to remind people that I thought the parity was excellent on this with the Lavinia development, and there's not going to be a raging waters put up there. There's not going to be a giant roller coaster. There's not going to be a huge parking lot with trams going up the hillside. That's not what any of us want. But it is in danger of development. There have been several people who have wanted to buy that hilltop. It has one of the stellar views of both the San Gabriels and down into the city and Pasadena and all the way down to Long Beach that exists in Altadena. And it is at risk. And what has to be done is what should have been done when our conservancy started this, and that is we tried to acquire the property and failed before Mr. Sichi, I'll mention his name, acquired it, and we failed. And that can happen again. Anyone with enough money, more money than he had, would destroy this place. And let's not make a mistake about that. It is at risk because it is in his control or his estate's control. It must be acquired, and it must be acquired now. So I urge everyone, no one's more suspicious than I am, to please go along with this particular effort. And I think that there's no risk that this is going to turn into something where we're going to have hordes of people traipsing up there. This is something that's a very special historical site, and we need to protect it at this moment in time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Stanton. I'm a resident of the Meadows. I'm also a former Land Use Committee member and a town council person. I'm assuming, since Diane, you mentioned that the letter has made it around to all the members. Yeah. There is a copy going around. I'm not going to read through the whole letter, but I am going to touch on the points that came up. The Meadows residents only learned about this in the last week and a half to 2 weeks. This project has, as we understand it, been going on for 18 months to 2 years. So as it's been mentioned, we'd like you to take a pause here before you take a vote to really reach out to the Meadows and understand what our concerns are. As Michelle mentioned, she was able to meet with 2 folks. We had a brief conversation on Sunday night. That is the only contact, other than a couple of other contacts to the Meadows, that we even heard about this. It was labeled as the Lavinia 2 project in the agenda, not as the Owen Brown's gravesite. Would never have drawn attention to anybody in the Meadows. So we got together very quickly, and we have garnered around 51 signatures from people in the Meadows in only 3 days to say we strongly oppose this right now. Part of it is, and I'll jump to it, we think we have a better idea to use public space like Charles White Park, that you could introduce both the Charles White and his legacy as an Altadenan along with the Owen Brown site. That is existing public space that's there. I'm going to jump to some of the objections that were in the letter. We did not know the scope of this, and I still don't think we do know the scope. I have 20 years of project management background. The first thing you identify is scope and the impacts that you're going to have on a neighborhood. Again, we need some reach out to the Meadows. again, we were seeing, the only thing we saw was the video. So we were seeing students in the video, and it made us, it was referred to as a rumor, but it wasn't a rumor, it was just sort of a guess at this to say, well, are students coming up here? And is the public coming up? And to the point about it being a historical part, is that being advertised? Is that being marketed? Diane, we don't know, because it's not anywhere in the scope. That's part of our concern. We're cherished for being a quiet neighborhood. And any increase of cars or people coming into the neighborhood has a direct impact to us. Access points, Rising Hill, the top of it, is a private road owned by the Lowe's. Theo has an easement on it to come down. So Theo doesn't own the land. That's actually owned by the Forestry Division. So I would check those easements first, because Rising Hill may not even be an access point, and then you're left with just El Prieto. And again, we have concerns about maintaining the sites. We're sort of baffled that Lavinia, who has not met several of their development requirements, now wants, as a gated community, to reach outside their neighborhood and come to another neighborhood, whether it be the Meadows or not, to actually do any development of a site. And again, the other thing too is, if you vote on it tonight and you affirm it, then all you're doing is landing this back in the laps of the Meadows residents to actually have to pursue with planning, with zoning. We didn't ask for any of this. And really, we're asking, I was on land use. If it was going to impact anybody of your neighbors, you went around to the neighbors to say, here's what's impacting you. That hasn't happened. Normally, that's a 30-day period. So we would ask you just to hold off here, get us involved so that we can really flush out the scope of it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Greg. Do we have Joni Ledger-Donnelly?
Oh, not tall like Greg.
That's all right. There are tall people in this room. I was just asked to spell my last name, Ledger-Donnelly. Wow, I think that I've really listened to what everyone has proposed this evening, and I listened very carefully. Like Greg said, one of our main concerns in the Meadows is that we just heard about this, maybe 1.5, 2 weeks ago. So I think I'm standing up here now just asking you all to delay your decision. There is no rush. I just feel that we have been left out, the 200 plus homes in the Meadows. My husband and I have lived there for over 28 years. I would like to be able to think about this more. Not that I'm, how do I put this? Maybe I can ask you a question. If I may, would you raise your hand if you have driven up Canyon Crest? How many of you have? Okay. How many of you have driven up Rising Hill? Okay. So you know what that one road in is like. My concern is the effect that cars and additional traffic is going to have on that road. Fire, like someone said before. So I guess I'm just going to stand up here and just really ask you, on behalf of the Meadows, to please delay the decision. Please do not be hasty, so that at least the people who live there in the Meadows can give this more consideration, since this is just fairly new to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Eve Kessler, and then Alexandria Fabro, and Steve Lamb.
Hi, thank you to all my amazing neighbors for your eloquence. I think I'm the newbie in the neighborhood compared to all of you. But I love it there as much as you all do. And you've all pretty much covered everything, so I want to say what they said. I think the one thing that occurs to me is it feels like this has been kept under the radar, and my neighborhood, which will be most impacted, has been ignored. And thank you, Joni, for bringing up the fact that I didn't see that many hands up. How many of you have actually been up there and felt what it might feel like if there was an emergency and you had to get down quickly and there were a lot of cars up there? It's a real concern for all of us, bringing in any possibility of more people up there is a real problem. I don't want to seem, I feel like we're not the big bad wolf. We don't not want this to happen. We do want the grave site to be protected and cared for, but I think that we need more information. I think you need to take your time on this, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Alex Fabro, and I live on the lower part of Rising Hill in the Meadows. And this project, to me, as a teacher, first, of course, I'm pretty excited. Woo, education, you know, everything good, nothing bad. But my question is, how can a neighborhood that was supposed to build a school then abandon that project and impose this on another neighborhood, on an adjacent neighborhood? That's kind of baffling to me. By what environmental analysis or regulatory approval was that considered a fair trade, a school for disruption in an adjacent neighborhood that isn't a school, is just a site to visit? And about that site, as has been mentioned, the whole two-lane road access, you know, and that road is not in good condition. So are we going to increase visitation on that? Are there funds to keep that road maintained? What about the trail maintenance? The $300,000 number was mentioned as far as an endowment. So is that a number that the developer just spitballed, or was there an actual budget or a financial analysis that shows that $300,000 is adequate to this in perpetuity? Because that's what we're talking about. Also, what kind of actual contracts are there between the developer, who's then going to donate the land to a conservancy, and then what kind of contract is there to make sure that Outward Bound is able to keep participating in this? And what about insurance for all of this? If we're opening this up to the public, then what kind of insurance is there for the youth that are supposed to be working on the trail? Should they get hurt? Should they get bit by rattlesnakes? Because all of us that hike up there have seen rattlesnakes up there. And, wait a second, it just went blank here. Sorry about that. And then hours of operation along with monitoring. Even Millard closes their gates. Are we going to make this a 24/7 access? That's really disturbing the neighborhood. So please consider all of these before you just go ahead and think, as I did, everything good and nothing bad, because there are a lot of things to consider before you make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hell was frozen over into a solid block of ice. I'm actually here supporting Tim Cantwell. And, you know, my family's been abolitionists since 1790 because the sin and stain of slavery was on our country. And we fought a civil war that was started in no small part to Owen Brown's father, John Brown, to rid ourselves of that sin. And we never really quite have. And for the first 90 years after that Civil War, the hatred on both sides remained, and it remained vehemently. We had our own Civil War in Altadena. It was called the Lavinia Project. And tonight, Tim Cantwell is trying very hard to help us put aside the hatred that came from that project. And you know, things aren't perfect, but let me tell you, people visit that site every day. We visited that site every day since 1890. Abolitionists come from all over the country quietly to visit that site, and abolitionist families to visit that site now. No one who's not coming to your neighborhood is going to be coming just because we're going to keep a house off of it. And let me tell you something, I work as a designer. I've been contacted twice in the last 15 years by people who wanted to consider putting a house up there. And, you know, I look at places all the time in Malibu and in the hills. I drive by places that I thought would never be developed. Only a madman would try to develop that. But they've got houses on them, and they've got, you know, 5, 6, 20,000 square foot houses on places where no sane person would develop. So when we say that, well, no one's going to develop that, trust me, there are lots of crazy people with enough money to develop that. And yes, let's pay attention to the neighborhood. Let's give everybody 30 days, but let's go get it done.
Thank you. Thank you. And Andy Bayer, and then Ann Coleman. And Kara, I cannot pronounce your last name, I'm sorry. And then Robert Thurstons.
Hi, I'm Andy. I live in the Meadows, and I just, on behalf of who spoke for the residents in the Meadows, I agree with, this is really,
Yes, sorry.
all right. Can I just hold it? Is that all right? I just agree with everything they said, and agree, sorry, with everything they said. I didn't say disagree, I said agree. But do I need this? Can I just speak on it?
No, you have to, because it's all recorded.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, there it is. I just worry about the traffic and the fires because we're in a fire zone. And also, I've been there for about 9 years, and there's been some unwanted theft in car thefts and things, and more traffic could bring more unwanted theft. And I had like $2,500 of stuff stolen from my car, so that's my main concern. The video was beautiful, but we didn't know about it, so give us 30 days so we can and we'll get together, we'll talk about it, and we'll go over it. But just give us that time, please, for more discussion. Thank you.
My name is Ann Coleman. Altadena Heritage supports this project. It's important to preserve this little piece of local history that's tied to national history. And we think that this parody project is a great idea. There's the historical element, and it's nice that youth are involved in restoring the trails. But if this project goes down here, if this is voted down, when's the next chance? When's the next opportunity for this property to be acquired and put into a conservancy? Those opportunities don't come around very often. And while this project is expensive to acquire the land and establish an endowment to maintain the property, it's not going to show much. We're going to clean up the trails, and we're going to mount the gravestone, but otherwise there's not going to be much of a change. Usually when someone donates a lot of money, and I've seen this happen at Caltech where I worked for many years, they want their name on a building, and it's a big deal, and you see the money. Here, a lot of money's going into it, but you're not going to see it. You're going to see, it's going to be neatened up, and there's going to be a grave site, and it's not going to be a huge development. So Heritage heartily endorses this project.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Kara? Okay. Could you spell your last name for me, please? You've never heard that before, right?
No, I heard it 2 weeks ago. Bjornlie.
Thank you.
I have to say I agree with just about everything that my neighbors say. I'm a resident of the Meadows. I live on Rising Hill. I think this is great in theory, but it is in theory, and so far, you know, all of the film, the exhibits, you're up there and you're overlooking the Meadows, but you're not acknowledging the Meadows. You're looking straight at Lavinia, but you're not looking at the Meadows, and the Meadows is what is at risk here. And it's, as I said last time, the gravesite is a vulnerable place. The Meadows is a vulnerable place, and by raising the profile of either one of these, they're both going to be at danger. People do silly things with grave sites. We've seen what Mr. Cici did, and it's not just because other people would be inclined to do things like that, even if they didn't own the property. I just want you to understand the vulnerability of our community and the grave site when you're further developing this project, and to please keep us in mind and keep us informed and keep us involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Robert Thurstons. I also live in the Meadows on Rising Hill Road. I'm right below the Owen Brown gravesite, in fact. I often go up there. I have to walk in the street because our area does not have sidewalks. If there is more traffic there, it's going to be a dangerous place to walk in the street. As it is, we do come across an occasional bear and mountain lion and such like that, but I don't think that's a big concern. I am very much in favor of Owen Brown's site being preserved. It's one of the things that brought me to the Meadows 25 years ago when I moved there. However, I've also been there since Lavinia was built. I saw them take down the mountain from one side, and it just disappeared. At that point, they had said that they were going to build this wonderful school. They were going to preserve all of the trees that were in the area. They did none of this. I'm very concerned about the fact that they have not kept their promises. I would like to see some way that they do keep this. From what I've seen of the pricing of the various items, it doesn't seem like it's a fair trade to give their not in my backyard education to the Meadows without at least paying for it in an appropriate amount. They're going to be making millions of dollars with 18 houses that they're going to build and sell. I haven't heard numbers even close to $1 million that they're going to produce to spend on the Owen Brown gravesite. Perhaps that should be part of it. Perhaps they should consider a little bit more. And I know the bell, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the public comment.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to explain to the council, and you guys, most of you guys have been in the land use meetings, but a couple of things. There is no rush to get the gravestone back up on the hill. There is no rush to get the trash picked up, if that's part of what we're doing. The consideration is that we need to get finally the Lavinia 2 project through Altadena Town Council so that it can go down to regional planning and move forward. When the committee got together, we were trying to come up with, remember, first of all, we committed to finding a way to get some money from Cantwell Anderson. Cantwell Anderson has absolutely zero obligation to give us 1 penny. The county will not require them to give us money. This is not, they're not gonna, if we didn't say to the county, this is what we want to do and why, they would say they would not make Cantwell Anderson give us any money whatsoever. So there's no, the company has no obligation whatsoever to us to give us any money at all. And many of you know that they started a much lower amount in the beginning when we first started talking about this. The price of the land is the price of the land, and it's a way for us to have them purchase the land and then have it go into a conservancy. The county is not included in this process, by the way. We're specifically not including the county. The extra amount that we have, that we came up with a budget, yes, about back of the envelope budget, but a budget nonetheless, is significantly higher than Cantwell Anderson ever expected to give us. So we're up around $500,000 from them for this project. What I will say, and what I will apologize for, is that in our zest to come up with reasons that we could explain to the town council about why we wanted to buy a piece of land that is landlocked in a bunch of, brush, and in the middle of sort of nowhere, and how that was going to help the community at all. We came up with a bunch of ideas, which is what they are, of what we could do then once we purchased the land. And so as part of the presentation, as part of the video that we did, what we're saying is these are all the things that could come out of it, and that we can use this money that we're going to endow to the gravesite fund, what we can do with that money, right? There are no plans. I explained this to the ladies last night. We have no specific plans. No, there isn't a contract with the Conservancy. No, there isn't, we don't have a way to get the gravestone back up to the site right away. All of those things have to be worked out. So what we had in our condition for this project at the land use meeting was that there would be a community group that would be put together, a small group of people representing different areas of the community that would be put together to go through and figure out the logistics of all of the things we've talked about tonight. None of those things are etched in cement or, or something that would absolutely be done. What we talked to the women from the Meadows last night about is that we had not in that condition specified somebody from the Meadows. We want to have somebody with historical knowledge. We want to have somebody with trails and horses, equestrian knowledge. We want to have somebody from the town council because it's originally their condition. And we said to them last night that we would include somebody from the Meadows. One of the leaders, people have spoken, whoever they want to have, that would be part of the process. There was, quite frankly, I'm a project manager too, and quite frankly, sitting down with them last night, they came up with some logistical questions and ideas and concerns that we would need to address anyway, right? So what I'm saying is that rather than, I'd like to think about or discuss, rather than delaying this vote for another 30 days while we work out details, in my opinion, it'll take longer than 30 days to work out all these details, that what we need to do is have a condition that says we're going to buy the land, we're going to get the rest of the other money from Cantwell Anderson, we're going to set up that the money is to be used for some, high-level subjects that we can put in the condition, and then to say that it's going to be administered by the people we mentioned and somebody from the Meadows. That way, the people from the Meadows will know what's going on. I expect that as we go forward with this, that somebody would come to the town council and do reports on what may or may not be going, what they're proposing, but that the Meadows would be involved in those discussions and have representation. So that is what we talked last night to the women about, and what I would like to sort of go forward discussing as well if we want to. Now we have the other conditions set out, but if anybody wants to ask any questions or have a discussion about the timing of this and understanding what is and isn't part of the decided details of the condition or the project. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I think you're.
All right. No, I don't have a comment, but what, okay, so
Oh, here, do you want to use
let's
this one?
start, Councilmember
Do you wanna-
Wong.
Okay.
First of all, is the chair, land use chair done?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
If, I want to make sure that anybody here has questions that they ask.
Okay, Councilmember Wong?
Yes, so I've been involved in the committee, but I came in a little late in the process, more or less. And listening to everybody here and then looking back at the Lavinia Community Forum, I think it happened about 4.5 years ago. And I guess in my mind through this committee, I've always sort of felt, is this the best decision? How important, it's a great project, no disrespect to that, but is this the best way to have our exchange? And so the committee that's decided this are people that represent land use, heritage, and then a couple of town council members and trails, but it didn't include perhaps a wider, diverse group of Altadenans that might come up with a better, or an alternative plan that might be more beneficial to the $500,000. So that could be one project, but in hearing all of the meadows, they're concerned. It's nice to have it. They're concerned. I also see, as a town council member of West Altadena, a lot of underserved areas that perhaps the money can go towards. So I feel like if somebody jumps in and buys that property, or what can we do to hold on to those 30 days, even though maybe nothing gets accomplished, something could get accomplished, or at least an opportunity to communicate with Altadena as a whole, might be a beneficial thing for this project, because this could be the project that goes, but maybe there's something within these 30 days that can spur our community to see what is best served with that money.
Right. So let me just say one thing, which is that Tim Cantwell has agreed to buy the land and to give us the money because he's on board with the project. He can get up and speak about it as well if we want to. But we worked very hard to work that through with him. He can speak for himself, but I would venture to say that if this was not the money, where the money was going, that the money wouldn't be there. There would be no money. He has no obligation to give us $500,000.
So then my question would be, if he doesn't give the money, will he get to build the homes?
He's not.
I mean,
hang on.
No, I mean, I didn't mean it like that, but I mean, is this condition dependent on him being able to build these homes?
Well, we can lift the condition, so if we want to talk about the process, right? We can lift the condition and not have a condition that we buy the land and he gives money and all of that. We can lift that condition. And then we can vote on, through 2 years ago, maybe it was the town council, the land use committee voted on approving the project with the conditions that Judy will speak to and have, and we can vote on the project with those conditions. And we may very well go ahead. I mean, it was approved last time, right? So I don't expect that there would be a problem approving the project with those conditions. What this last piece was to give an additional benefit to Altadena. It is a stretch. We have never, in the time that, I don't know, Steve, you've been around longer than I have, but the time that I've been around land use and town council, we have never gotten or asked for money from a developer about anything. So Yeah, that's right. So we went through the regular process of land use committee and for 3 years worked on conditions and had town halls and all kinds of other stuff to find out what the problems were. We've addressed those problems with the conditions that we have, and we can, in fact, vote on the project without any of this Owen Brown piece at all, and just move forward that way is fine. But I doubt, and like I said, Tim is here, he can speak for it, but he's in support of the project itself, this project itself,
Right.
which is why he's giving the money.
So I just feel like, I'll be quiet after this, sorry. I just feel like if those 30 days are there, all the work isn't gone away, but it just gives the opportunity for us to just take a deep breath, since it did come late, for people knowing, and not just, you know,
Well,
maybe there can be some.
Right, so what I was saying was that the condition that we talked about last night, which I have a draft of and we can talk about again, is a higher level, get the land, get the money into an account, and then set up a committee of people, including somebody from the Meadows, to walk through the process of how we're going to do this. What I hear the question now is, should we buy the land and use the money? So if that's the question, then the answer is we should move forward with the project without the condition that includes Owen Brown's gravesite. Because any other use of that fund, those funds, we can't make Cantwell Anderson give us $500,000 for something they don't want to support. Do you see what I'm saying? So we are lucky to be to have this situation. We have not made decisions. There is no plan to make roads up there. There's no plan to have there be huge numbers of people up there. The concern is that somehow if we put the headstone back and then tell people we put the headstone back, that there will be a rush of people to go up there. There's no evidence of that. We understand every concern that there is about fires which exist today, and it's a one road town, and we get that, and everybody that lives in Altadena understands that, and the people that live there understand that. We're not expecting to, that's a decision that you make when you live up there, one thing, right? But we're not expecting to impact any, there are people going up there today, we don't expect it to be a whole lot more. But the details of all of this are to be worked out later. So if you care for me to do it, which I'll be happy to do, I have the condition that we put on in the land use committee had a whole bunch of details about what we were going to do with all the pieces about the educational pieces and the development. It's not development, which we shouldn't use that word. The usage of the what?
Preservation.
Yes, the preservation of the land. We had more details in there than we really have plans, detailed plans for, right? So my recommendation would be, we can have more of a discussion, but my recommendation would be that we have the condition be the condition I have here, that is really just buy the land, get the money, put the money into an account, and then figure out with a community group how much we do, how we move forward with it, make some, we'll preserve the land, historical preservation, and some documentation. So that's here. I'll pass this around to you guys.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Markison. I believe Councilmember Wong was stating delaying the project. So I appreciate the length that you went, but I think we should have just left it at that. So Councilmember Malone, please.
Well, okay, go ahead.
I just want to address one issue, and I'm going to mention something that Steve Lamb said. He's been approached twice in the last few years I've actually been approached by somebody that was interested in purchasing that property. You don't know what they're going to put on there. This is real estate. They could come in tomorrow while we're having this discussion with an all-cash offer to whoever owns that property and make an offer. And you think it's landlocked? They could be making offers to the people that have it landlocked too with a price that they can't afford to give up. It's 6 acres. I don't know whether it's zoned for single-family residents or not, but with the right amount of money, that can change. So you don't think it can be impacting right now? I mean, it's what do you want? I mean, the property's there, it's on a hilltop, something's going to happen to it. I don't think we can have 30 days to discuss it all we like, but tomorrow somebody can come in and beat us. I just don't think we have that 30 days. We do have 30 days to include the community, like Diane said, in a discussion on how to move forward, but I am very apprehensive about waiting on purchasing the property.
Okay, Councilmember White.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So as I understand it, if we move forward with this recommendation and we vote on it and it passes, nothing changes except for the purchase of the land. There's no more foot traffic, there's no more motorized traffic, there's no more interest in this area except the fact that we have preserved a piece of history. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. The details will follow later as to what needs to be done for the continuing preservation.
Correct.
Thank you.
Perfectly said. Okay,
I just have something real quick.
okay, Councilmember Jones.
You keep saying Meadows, but it's West Altadena that's being affected by this. That includes Census Tract 4610 and the one above that, and the Meadows. But the outreach has only been to the Meadows. And so that's a big, and, excuse me, what?
You can.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what I'm saying is that even when you go through the trails, they come up Windsor through 4610 to get to those trails. The traffic comes up that way. And Lincoln. So the outreach should go further. I mean, we don't know. I'm sure I've talked to 3 people today. Nobody knew about this. Nobody knew about it in our census tract.
Councilman didn't tell them. That would be you.
Well, I wasn't here when it started. I was not here when it started.
Okay, so
Going back to the land use chair for a final presentation and recommendation, please.
well, let me say, it sounded like you wanted to entertain a motion to delay 30 days. I don't.
No, that's not,
Okay.
I'm not asking for that.
Okay,
I
all
just
right.
wanted to clarify what is being said.
Okay, sorry, hang on. So I have, I've passed around to you a modified final condition for this, which includes, that's why I said there were too many of them. If everybody doesn't have one, I have more copies in front of Pat. She has copies that she can pass around, which basically says, get the land, get the money, put the money in an account, and set up a community group to figure out how to do what we want to do with it. But with the inclusion of somebody from the Meadows, and that committee would be making decisions, but I'm sure communicating with everybody. I don't expect that there's going to be a whole lot more traffic going up there for any reason, and so that's what that would be. So we have the full. Judy has the full, all the rest of the conditions, which is quite a long process or long list, and then my recommendation would be that this be the final condition, which we can read into the record and then have more discussion if you want to.
Okay, Councilmember Vega.
Was the outcome of this based upon the meeting last
Yes.
time with residents from the Meadows? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, the direction that I would like for us to go, in the interest of time, I know that this has been well vetted. The concerns are, as reported from the individuals from the meadows. So that is 100% it will be considered. But what we're looking at is being able to get the land as stated, and then decide the logistics on the rest of the on the logistics. So, one moment. From the land use chair, so the next step will be for the Councilmember Matthews to read something?
Yes,
What is
you can,
what is the
I would
idea
do
here?
the whole thing and then add this as the last one.
Okay, let's do that.
For the
And-
record,
and that will be-
for the
and
record,
For
Chair,
the
right?
record and for a motion.
Right,
Okay,
okay.
so
So
let's
she
take.
has, right.
I'm reading the
Let's take
conditions
that,
now.
you read that, the conditions and a motion, and then we try to wrap this
You have
thing
your,
up.
you have your motion,
We'll get
page
to
two, so you could start with that if you
Okay,
want to.
I want to read the
All right,
conditions
go
first,
ahead.
okay? The following are the approved conditions as of October 18th, 2016. 2016. Oh, God, I needed to. Which captures the concerns of the community.
Councilmember Matthews, can you hold on one
Concerns of the
moment, please?
community at large.
Can you please hold on for a second? I had pleaded with the Boy Scout and the family to stay with us. However, I know that this is a little bit long drawn. I wouldn't, I will leave it at your discretion. I know some of you have to go back to schools. Tomorrow is school, so.
He said, I want to see where it goes.
Okay.
Oh, how sweet.
All right, let's give them a.
Community engagement.
Okay.
That's right.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Civic project.
Okay,
Okay.
Councilmember Matthews, proceed.
Okay. The following are approved conditions as of October 18th, 2016, which captured the concerns of the community at large. Lincoln Avenue water condition. Developer will comply with all conditions set forth in the August 17th, 2016 will serve letter for the proposed new development tract, Lavinia. Non-emergency construction, renovation, and repairs. Repairs and construction should be conducted in a manner that is considerate to members of Lavinia and the residents of Altadena. Repairs and construction shall be restricted to the following hours: Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., no Sundays. Sidewalk on Lincoln Avenue. The community would like to see a public sidewalk installed on the unimproved east side of Lincoln Avenue and Altadena Drive from the north side of the bridge to Palm Street. Residents are to the develop, well, that's it, I'm sorry. I think that was it. Traffic speed on Lincoln Avenue. The developer shall request CHP presence in the area to enforce speed limits on Lincoln Avenue from Altadena Drive to Lavinia Gate. County to install a flashing speed monitoring device or other apparatus device to monitor the speeding in the area. Melrose assessment. It is the desire of the Lavinia Homeowners Association and CIA, Cantwell-Anderson Association, the future owners of the 18 lots approved in the vesting tentative tract map are obligated to pay their fair share of the debt service associated with the Lavinia Melrose Community Facilities District Number 7. Equestrian migration. The developer shall contact the county for the purposes of installing horse crossing signs and crosswalks at the intersections of Palm Street and Lincoln Avenue and on the east side of Loma Alta Drive at Sunset Ridge. Single-story homes. Residential development on proposed Lot 8 and 9 of vesting tentative tract map 069504 shall be restricted by the county to single-story homes as defined in the appropriate county building code. Neighborhood construction. Prior to the commencement of construction, the developer shall work with the county to provide nearby residents with information concerning construction, related hours, working hours, assess routes, grading water supply, and equestrian precautions. Local subcontractor participation. Developers shall make all reasonable efforts to ensure that contractors send invitations to existing local Altadena businesses and subcontractors, inviting them to submit bids in an effort to ensure employment opportunities for Altadena residents and businesses. I am now reading the agreed condition for the Owen Brown project. Implement the purity plan as presented by Lavinia 2 Condition Subcommittee. The subdivider will secure the property which contains the grave site of Owen Brown, which is currently for sale. Based on the purchase price, the subdivider will also provide a monetary amount to cover the maintenance of the land and historical preservations and documentations of Owen Brown gravesite project. Based on the land purchase price and prior to the final map approval, the subdivider agrees to pay an additional amount of $300,000 into a to-be established Owen Brown gravesite project fund. The subdivider accepts this payment obligation as an agreed upon condition of the final map approval. The funds for accomplishing these enhancements shall be tendered prior to the final subdivision map approval and administered by a community group to include a member of Altadena Town Council, an Altadena resident with a background in historic preservations, a resident with knowledge of Altadena trails and open space efforts, and a member of the leadership of the Meadows residential area. Should the subdivider not procure the property, an amount of the final offer made on the property plus an amount not to exceed $300,000 will be deposited to a community benefit fund. The legal details of this condition will be worked out in conjunction with the Regional Planning Division, which will be monitoring the final satisfaction of this condition. Community and council, I'm now going to the motion. Please follow me. In the matter of the Lavinia Project 2 amendment to CUP 2007-00114, I move that Altadena Town Council send a letter to Regional Planning recommending the approval of the CUP with conditions as previously read, which will be included in the report.
Okay, council, you have heard the motion, and it is properly seconded. At this point, I know that there are still comments, and then, so at this point, Councilmember Wong, we yield to you.
So at that point, the option to push this 30 days later is not, how is that recognized? Or has that just gone by the wayside? Would I have to?
Well, I can turn it over to the parliamentarian, or I can answer that. Actually, I'll address it. If you'd like, you can make a substitute motion or amendment to the motion, and if that carries, then we will delay. And if that doesn't carry, then we continue with the original motion.
So I would like to make a motion to delay this project till the next town council meeting with some opportunity to talk to the community so that there is adequate time outside of who has been notified so far. So I'd like to see that happen.
Okay, council member, there has been a motion. Is there a second? Okay, so a motion to delay properly seconded. Any further discussions? We're going to take it, we're going to, sorry about that, we're going to take it to a vote at this point to delay, and if that one fails, then we go back to the original motion. All right?
Why wouldn't we be able to have discussion on the motion?
We will discuss the,
No.
you mean to discuss the substitute motion? Go right ahead if that's what you like.
Okay. I guess my only comment on it is that I'm not sure that what the 30 days really will provide us to do with the community. If really what the goal of the project is to just buy the land and get the money. So by the way, we explained to the women that came to meet with us from the Meadows last night that we would be happy to have conversations, meetings, town halls, whatever with them regarding what the conversation that we had about that things aren't really etched in cement, so, and what the plans were. Go ahead. Which we would do after.
I think the conversation should go longer than 30 days. I think the conversation should be within the community for a very long time, depending on what we're doing.
Right.
The question here is not the conversation and what we need to do and moving forward. The question is here is buying the land, plain and simple.
Okay.
Okay, you'll call in a second.
Gloria.
Okay, Councilmember Sanyika.
On.
Just keep talking.
I'm kind of inclined to agree with what Diane and Councilmember Diane and Councilmember
Billy Malone.
Billy, what they were saying, because I understand what you're saying in terms of delaying and being more inclusive of the actual community and of the so that you can get them aware of the project. But then you have the sale of a piece of property and interest rates and that type of thing going up. I think what they're trying to say is that we need to purchase the property, put it in an account, and then then invite the community to come in and discuss. Because if you don't move on it, someone else may purchase it. And then they might put something on there that the community really doesn't want. You know what I mean? And so I'm just saying, I just kind of agree. I'm just looking, I understand what you're saying. And I understand that the community wants to be involved. But when property is at stake, and there's a sale, someone else can come along and grab that, and they'll put something. What is the worst thing that you don't want to have happen in your community? And that person will come and put that there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Councilmember Sanyika. I believe this has been very well vetted. We do see the point from everywhere. There is a substitute motion to delay this for 30 days properly seconded. I would like the council to take a position on that. If you would like to delay this for 30 days on that substitute motion, if you're in favor of that, say aye. Everybody that is in favor to delay. Okay, so we have one, all that opposes.
There's 3.
Okay, so there's 3. All that opposes? Okay, so how many are we? So is... Okay, so...
This is the no.
Okay, so 1, 2...
No, not to delay.
All but 3.
Oh, all but 3. Okay, so the chair does not vote unless if it is a tie vote, so whatever the difference is. So that's 16 minus 3, minus 4. Okay. All right, so that vote to delay has failed. So we move on to the original motion, which is to recommend to the regional planning for the approval of the CUP with the conditions so stated. Okay, so is that an unreadiness?
I would like to make a suggestion to this motion. Can I do that?
To which
The
motion?
motion's been voted down.
No, that motion. To the, what is this called? The condition. Parity. Yeah. So right now, it identifies a member of the town council, a resident with historic preservation, a resident with knowledge of Altadena trails, and a member of the leadership of the Meadows. I would like to advocate that we add members, community members in West Altadena to be part of this committee.
There is no designation of where those people come from.
But it says a member and a resident. So I would like it written in that it's somebody that's not in Census Tract 460301, because this could be a great opportunity to involve West Altadena in a community benefit project.
I then would like to take all the details out of it and not have it in there. These are details that we were, okay, so you can,
How does everyone feel?
well.
Okay, council members,
We're not going to constitute the committee here. so-
This, council members, we're going to move this along, so it's going to be the chair's privilege at this point. So you had made a recommendation to add this. I'll take it democratically. If you are in favor of the recommended, though it's not a motion, it's not a properly posed motion, but I'll take it anyway. So if you would like to make a change to this as recommended, say aye. If you, okay, so we have one person. Any other person who would like to, okay, if you're opposed to it, say aye.
Wait, okay.
No, if you're opposed to the recommendation, to the condition.
Say nay. Okay.
So, okay, let me go back to it. There has been a recommendation to tweak the language,
To amend the condition.
to amend the condition. So if you would like to amend the condition, say aye. Okay, if you don't want to,
No, if you would
Make
like to,
that.
if you are against amending
if you are
the
against
condition, say nay.
amending the
Condition.
condition,
Say
say
nay.
aye.
No, say
Oh, say
nay.
nay, say nay. Okay, there we go. All right, so moving on to the original motion. So the original motion is, you've heard it, are you ready for your vote? Okay, and that is to recommend approval of the CUP to the Regional Planning Commission with conditions as read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do we have anyone opposing? So we have one opposition. Anyone abstaining? Okay, so the vote carries, and we thank you all so much for that. So,
Thank you very much, everybody. And thanks for all the community members who gave input, and don't worry, we'll include
yeah.
you.
And let me take this opportunity to say thank you to Councilmember Marcuson and the team that really put this together. It's been many, many months. So I'm glad that we finally got to it.
Okay, I know we haven't moved on to the next agenda item. Can I do 3 really quick sort of just pow-pow sentences about things I need to let people know from a land use perspective?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So FYI, for those of you that were concerned about your non-conforming fence or wall and the new plans associated with that, there has only been one person that has gone to register their fence or wall. So we're in the registration period. It will end, I think, the end of March, maybe next year. But there were a whole lot of people in the community that were wanting to have this is as close to grandfathering as the county's going to do. You get 15 years grace. So please, please, please register your fences and hedges. There is a New York Drive, the New York Drive project. I've been telling you updates on that. They sent out a notification to those people that live on New York Drive. You may or may not have opened it. But they're going to have a community meeting on Wednesday, May 23rd here at 6 p.m. Everybody is invited, and but they're going to have a general community information at the beginning, and then they're going to do breakout sessions so that people that actually live on New York Drive can get information about their own property. So I would encourage everybody. I did tell them I was not happy that they had just sent out a regular thing that looked like just any other boring hearing. So they're going to go up and down New York Drive and hand deliver some notifications of the meeting so that they'll know better, people will know better. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Now, moving on, Council, to the next item on the agenda, that will be item number 6.2, and that will be Election Committee, and turn it over to the Election Chair, Dr. Thomas, Councilmember Thomas.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, and Council, and community. The May 2018 Election Committee report is as follows. All signs were placed throughout the community by April 25th. And on Thursday, April 19th, the candidate packets were delivered to the community center and also posted to the ATC website. We instructed the county staff on the distribution, receipt, and logging in of the packets. On Friday, May the 11th, at 5 p.m., the application process ended, and all submitted candidate packets were picked up by the election committee chair. The committee met on Saturday, May 12th, to review and verify all candidate packets, notify each candidate of approval of their application, and invite them to provide a 2-minute candidate statement at the May 15th, which is tonight, Town Council meeting. Then notification of all candidates listed by census tract was emailed to all Town Council members and posted to the ATC website. Before I introduce each candidate, let me state to all of you who have voiced concerns that the election committee is aware that we had planned to hold an election which had no contested seats and may have therefore seemed somewhat unnecessary to all of us. After thorough and careful review of the bylaws during our Saturday, May 12th meeting, especially the 10-vote rule and the 7-day notice to make an amendment rule, we, the election committee, would like to make the following statement. We have found ourselves, hold on just a second. Yeah, I had a little yellow page. Yeah. We've made some changes. All right. We have found ourselves in an unprecedented situation that the bylaws does not address. But we want to say, for the sake of the reputation of the town council, and upon checking with the county representatives and learning that this same situation has happened before in our community, we are asking to suspend the part of the bylaws that I previously mentioned in order to circumvent having the election. The committee proposes that the Altadena Town Council consider canceling the election and appointing the candidates to those uncontested seats in their census tracts. The reason we came to that decision is because it doesn't reflect well if we continue with the election and have low to no voter turnout, and we feel it would be very difficult to motivate voters to participate in an uncontested election. And so that we can have open discussion before making a decision on this, I am going to place a motion on the floor as chair of the election committee, and I'm going to move for cancellation of the election. Mr. Chair, there's been a motion and a second.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Dr. Thomas. And we applaud the effort of the election committee. We have heard the report. There is a motion that has been proposed and properly seconded. Council members, I'd like to open it up for any discussions or any questions to the election chair and the election committee. Okay, let's start with Council Member.
Our members.
Yeah, Council Member Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to say that this was a very considered decision on our part that involved conversations with a lot of people. We also believe, or I believe, that, well, we believe that we should move forward with having candidates read their statements tonight so that we do not lose an opportunity for the candidates that are new to this process, especially to engage with the council and with the community and to be on the record with their statements. Further, we discussed that we could, upon canceling the election, move toward appointing the candidates that would be new to the council in those respective census tracts at our June 19th meeting. And swearing in would occur regularly at our July 17th meeting. And further, if we move forward with this motion, we would still encourage all candidates to engage with the community, with residents of their census tract, and to participate, whether you're an incumbent or a new candidate, at any forum that would allow you to engage with the community so the community can get to know you and ask any questions prior to your appointment.
I think all of that was coming up in the next part of this report. We just had to stop and wait for him.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Malone.
As part of the discussion, I just want to bring it from another perspective that because an election requires a good portion of volunteer time. We had 3 current locations identified, at each one for 6 hours, at 2-hour blocks of volunteer time. That's 6 volunteers per location. We're talking about 18 volunteers for the Saturday, and for the Tuesday, it will be 2 blocks of 2. So another 4, that's 22 volunteers that we'd be looking for election where nobody can win. I personally feel, as we agreed upon this, but my own opinion is that I think those volunteer hours, rather than asking the community for volunteer hours, ask them to come to the community forums and places to meet. You know, spend those times in getting to know your candidates, getting to know the incumbents, getting to know the newbies. And I would encourage all sitting members as well to go to the forums, any community forum there is, so that people can get to know you. So use it as an opportunity rather than a loss.
Thank you so much. Any further comments from council? Councilmember Wong?
Could the election day or a day around it be a community forum by the town council?
I'm going to leave it to the election committee.
We decided that we would have the candidates to just do their statements tonight as we planned. But we also are encouraging everyone. We already know that NBBA, they announced their forum, and we want to support their forum on May 30th from 7 to 8:30. Do I have the time correct?
Yes.
And so that would be, tonight we would hear statements. They're doing the forum. So we did not plan another forum for the candidates. First of all, we have not voted to see what the outcome is. First of all, let's take this in order here.
Okay, Councilmember Robertson, do you have a question or comment?
No, I wanted to participate in the discussion that's going on. That's cool. So these aren't completely well-formed thoughts, but they're what I'm thinking on this issue right now. So I'm going to share them with you all. So our little body here has sort of poor visibility within the community as it is, and it's something that we've been working on, and you as chair have been particularly focused on increasing our visibility in the community, and making sure we're showing up at volunteer opportunities and at community events and participating in organizations and just being a bigger part of civic life in Altadena than perhaps we've been in the past. And I think that's great. And I also think that elections are part of that. So the annual election is and has always been, I think, one of the more visible things that this group does in the community. If there's one thing you can count on seeing council members be involved in, it's the election to council. So that involves, the election for the folks that are running involves knocking on doors and engaging with their constituents. And even if you're unopposed, your vote count at the end of the day speaks to your credibility and your legitimacy as the representative in that census tract. And I think it speaks to the credibility and legitimacy of this body at all. And so if you aren't engaging people and drumming up support for you and for us, then what's it all for? So I think that given the circumstances, it might make sense to reduce the number of polling places. I don't think we have to have quite the reach that we've had in the past, because it is a major commitment of time and effort and resources and all of that. So it might make sense to scale that back, but I don't think canceling the election is the right move. I just don't think it's a good look in the long term.
Any further comments from council?
One,
Okay.
I was thinking of what Dorothy actually said. If we can have a vote, if we could have some outreach on that day, so people are thinking summers or early summer is town council sort of politics time. So maybe a scaled back thing, like you're saying, but I think engagement is. I mean, it's easy for me to say because I'm not running this time. And the first time I ran, I actually was unopposed. I still got 26 votes, which wasn't a great amount of votes. But is there a way we can still keep the public flavor going if we don't have the election? So I'm just kind of struggling with,
Councilmember Sutherlen.
I have there's pluses and minuses to all of this. Yes, I'd like to see an election for all the reasons that you said it, Justin. However, if the forum, which I think is really important, I'm looking at you, Karen. I think it's really important, should that be, we really only need one forum, I think. But all of us who are, or would be running, could take the opportunity to hand out our flyers, to get people to that forum. This room should be jam-packed. That and the discussion that could go on in the forum would be a really, really healthy thing, I think, for an awful lot of people. So in one sense, I'm saying I want an election, and in the other, I'm saying do your electioneering to have the forum, to have it mean something.
Right. I agree.
Councilmember Marcuson.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quickly that if we look, 5 of us that are running have been on town council for quite some time. I send emails to the folks in my census tract all the time. I'm out visiting, walking around my dog and visiting people and getting to know people all over the census tract as I can. So from an outreach perspective, I do that every day and have done for the last however many heck years I've been doing this. We only need 10 votes. So yes, there are 3 folks that are going to be new that we're going to be anxious to hear from and learn to get to know, and their census tract needs to get to know them. And I agree with everybody saying go to the forum. But everybody needs 10 votes, that's 80 votes out of 40,000 people. And so I agree that people don't turn out, I mean, I've run unopposed before, and even the people that tell me they're gonna vote don't show up. You know, and honestly, because, oh, you're running unopposed, so, I mean, you used to only need 1 vote, now you need 10. So I just feel like we have other ways to communicate with the community. I agree to with going to the forum, and we all should be reaching out to the people in our census tract all the time anyway, is my opinion, for those of us that are existing council members. So I would vote against, well, we can see, having the election when we get to there. Anybody else?
Councilmember Robertson.
I wanted to make a little addendum to what I'd said, which was a year ago this time, I ran unopposed. So I'm halfway through my second term right now. And it is an odd argument to make when you're knocking on doors and saying to folks, I'm running unopposed, your vote's not going to change the outcome of this race, but I need you to get out there and check the box. And the reason is legitimacy. And the reason is not just to the folks in this room that pay attention to what we do or to the community at large, but also I think to the county. And that was the argument that I made to folks I talked to. And I was able to cajole a few dozen people out to vote for me, even though I was running unopposed, because I think the argument that, you know, the vote count is compelling. The vote count matters. I think that is compelling to even the supervisor's office. How seriously should they take us when we speak? Well, to what degree do we actually speak for and represent this community? I think that matters.
Councilmember Malone.
I think that I definitely don't think anyone should not knock on doors or do outreach. I think outreach is the biggest part. And I think the fact that everyone's running unopposed is a beautiful opportunity to, instead of knocking on doors and saying, I need you to take 2 seconds to tick, come to a forum, have a discussion, talk about your community, meet me. Don't just meet me, meet the other reps. So rather than just showing up and spending 10 seconds, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to actually do more outreach, be more visible, reach more people, and show more people what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Councilmember Knapp.
I just want to say that appearances do matter, and we went back and forth about this, but it was not an easy decision, but it was also with input from the county, who wondered why we would run an election when we could use our goodwill with volunteers and any monies that we would put towards materials for it. So it became a very legitimate question in our minds about how to move forward and use the forum that MBBA is hosting as a way for all of us, those running and those not, and the new folks that are looking to join us, to make it a very good public conversation. We learned from the library's conversations how important it is. And this is not a forum, our council meetings are not a forum for the public to engage us one-on-one. So it becomes important for us to look at the forum as that opportunity in lieu of an election, should we decide that.
Councilmember Wong.
Yes, so I think, my personal view was I also ended up running unopposed, but it was the greatest thing to go out there and knock on people's doors and go through the election process. But I understand in theory it could be, a waste of resources and time. So I love the idea of supporting NBBA, but maybe this is also an opportunity, since we're learning now that we're not all engaging our community, to really make it like a town hall / forum type event. So is that, it doesn't have to be super fancy, but hey, community, here we are, or here's the new 8 people, however we want to focus on it. Yeah.
Just a little rebuttal on that, just a thought. I mean, we have our town council meetings anyway. Everyone will be here for the June anyway, especially if there's an appointment. I mean, we can't take up our time, but could we do a meet and greet of your council members before we start? We start at 7. Will you invite the community to come at 6:30 or 6:15 and have a meet and greet of your members? I mean, I think that would show a lot of, and it would include. I mean, just a thought.
Okay, so.
Councilmember De La Torre.
Yeah, so pretty much everything's pretty much been discussed, but me personally, coming from an academic background in political science, I would disagree with canceling the election because, to what Justin was saying, it does show a legitimacy to our body and to the community that we are here and we are members that are voted on by you. I understand what everybody else is saying, but that's just what I'm coming from. In terms of the election, I can see the man hours going behind that, so maybe just scaling it back to the one day on Saturday at the main library. That can cut back a lot, and the resources, I understand it, but I feel the pros of holding the election outweigh the cons of canceling the election.
So,
Councilmember Marcusson.
if I could just say as well that I too had conversations with some folks, and the water districts don't run an election when they don't have, when people are running unopposed. There are other organizations that are not volunteer organizations that don't have elections when people are running unopposed. So I would disagree with the legitimacy, like that somehow we're going to be less legitimate if we go through a sort of mock election. But I totally agree with doing a community gathering would be great.
I also think that, you know, we keep using the word canceling the election. We're not really canceling the election. We asked people to fill out applications. They came to the community
That's right.
center. They're making statements. They're doing this. We're also going to come back and be appointed. We're also talking about forms. We're talking about many other things. The only thing we're talking about is whether they come and check a box. The election's still going on. That's the only thing we're talking about, whether we should put the energy into something else.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think canceling is the wrong kind of term.
Okay, Councilmember Jones.
What effect does it have on next year's election by not having one this year? I mean, do
None.
people get less engaged?
No.
Nope,
You don't think so?
nope,
No.
we know not.
We have for many, many years, we've had
Yes.
census tracts that have had people run unopposed, not always everybody. This is the first time since I've been on town council that it's been, nobody's running opposed. But we run the elections every year. This is a very unusual situation. And I think that we'll have new folks that we need to help get engaged and oriented and all of that, but that I just don't think that, certainly it doesn't affect our legitimacy with the county whatsoever. And I just don't, I agree with not wasting money for money's sake kind of thing, or for, anyway, I just don't think that we're suspending the actually having the vote for 1 year only, not like we're not changing the bylaws. So.
Okay, so,
Right, the water
Councilmember-
company does not do that. You're right.
Councilmember Sajika? Okay,
You're
this will be
correct.
the last round, and this has to be wrapped up right away.
I want to interject right here that last year we had discussed having a collective meet and greet. And I think that this would be a perfect opportunity to do that. You know, we actually collectively together, we invite the people in our census tract and have them come and meet and greet us and have refreshments and what have you. But I don't feel like we should put a lot of energy into soliciting votes when we're not actually, running. Because let me tell you, the whole time that I've been on the council, I've been unopposed. And I extended, and we're door to door. and still people didn't come out and vote. Okay? So but they didn't oppose me either. So I said, well, at least they're saying they still want you in there. But they just maybe didn't have the time to go and do that. Why should I? Because then she's not running against anybody, you know. So I just wanted to add that.
Councilmember Vega?
So just for clarification, the ballots would just have the people who have, is that correct? Is that what I'm understanding?
Nobody's running against anybody.
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's why we were having.
That's the whole discussion.
Oh, that's why we were having this discussion.
sorry, I'm
there's-
late to the discussion.
Nobody's running against anyone.
It's 10 o'clock.
I know.
Okay, we're gonna get
I'm an
there.
early bird.
That's right.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
can we move the motion?
All right,
No.
I think at this point, there has been a motion from the Election Committee and properly seconded. Let me just make a final comment before we take a vote on this. I was really looking forward to a contest. And earlier this year, in January, as your chair, the vision was to attract at least a couple of thousand votes to continue to establish the legitimacy of this body. And we started talking about progressive ideas and community engagement that have been achieved, and a lot more progress needs to be made. I actually had an idea, even running unopposed. The chair to the Land Use Committee reminded us of the fence and hedges and the registration period. Whether this body votes to not have that election actual vote to continue, I still intend to use that as an opportunity to get out there to the community and let them know it is time to register. The record as of today shows that only one person is actually registered. So we need to engage the community. So having said that, your chair does not have a vote, so I will entertain your vote at this point. So you have heard the motion and properly seconded. So if you are in favor of the motion to not have the actual polling for this particular year, I would like you to say aye if you are in support of the motion. So the motion
Not to have the election.
is
Not to have the polling.
not to have the polling.
Not to have the vote. That was the,
Okay. So again,
How about hands?
yeah, how about hands?
okay, if you are in favor of the motion from the election committee, raise your hand. In favor.
In favor of not having it, right.
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I think that's what it is, right? Okay, if you are, let's try again.
Everyone's hand up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9. Okay. All right. If you are opposed to the motion, raise your hand. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we have 5. So the motion carries. So there will not be any actual polling. Abstaining. Oh. Okay, the first time I didn't ask for abstention. Any abstention? One abstention. Okay, so again, thank you, Election Committee. The job is still not finished.
Now, may we
You
move
all
on
know
with
what
our
to-
report?
Okay.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I don't know, the chair might have taken his 2 minutes, but we'll come back to him. All right. Next, we were supposed to hear from our candidates. That's why I was trying to, all right. 4601, Mr. Jeff Simmons. He is not here, so we're going to ask one of our committee to do his 2 minutes for us.
Okay, I'm reading the candidate statement for Jeff Simmons for Census Tract 4601. He had a business trip already scheduled and was unable to be here. My name is Jeff Simmons, and I'm asking for your vote for Town Council on June 5th and 9th. As your representative, I will make improving our neighborhood's safety and security a priority while ensuring your voices are heard on other topics of concern within the community. My family has lived in the Rubio Highlands neighborhood of Altadena for 23 years. We value Altadena's small town feel, but also appreciate being close to Pasadena and LA cultural and infrastructure resources. As a council member, my priority will be to represent the interests and concerns of Census Tract 4601 to the Town Council, the LA County Board of Supervisors, local law enforcement, as well as other state and federal agencies as needed. I will work together with you to address our issues by applying the experience I've gained developing and leading teams, solving challenging problems, and managing space and technology programs at NASA's JPL for the past 42 years. Our borders with Angeles Forest expose us to extreme danger from wildfire. Our popular trailheads bring traffic, parking, and other people-related challenges. While being near the forest and trails is a big part of why many of us live here, it's a challenge to keep them accessible for their intended use while discouraging less desirable activities. Additionally, these other activities often bring added fire hazards. Working with LASD and the Forest Service to enhance communication and bringing strong advocacy for nighttime parking limits, additional patrols, and better vigilance will be key to reducing these hazards. I have successfully worked with public, government, and private agencies to plan, monitor, and manage programs, including addressing issues when things don't go exactly as we'd all like. Property crime is a continuing concern for all of us. No one wants to experience the sense of violation that comes from arriving home to a scene of a burglary. As the block lead for my neighborhood's Neighborhood Watch program, I've seen us bringing neighborhoods together and presenting a strong deterrent to those that would take from us. Our local sheriff's personnel do a great job, but they can't be everywhere at once. That's where we come in. I'll encourage significant expansion and/or revitalization of Neighborhood Watch throughout Altadena by advocating for effective signage with the county and fostering ongoing working relationships with our local law enforcement. They are eager to support this if we all get involved. Effective crime prevention for our neighborhoods is a joint responsibility that I will promote in Altadena. I look forward to serving my neighbors in Census Tract 4601. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Go ahead.
Madam Vice Chair. I asked her to read that for us. And now, 4602, our chair has decided to not read his.
Yeah, we can move on to the next one.
And so we're going to move to 460301, Aaron Sheeta. Sheeta. You and I discussed that name.
All right. Thanks, everyone. It's been a long night. It's been tough. I know. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of everyone, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions and help you get to know me and why I want to run for the town council. I know. All right, so one of the things I find is one of my best qualities is relationship building, and I find that I've been very successful professionally and personally with developing quality relationships, and I think that's one of the key factors for any Altadena Town Council member, and obviously all of you are doing that really well. That's what I'd like to bring as well. So I spent 14 years in the Marine Corps, and then I ran a couple of small businesses for about 10 years. And now I'm leading the Altadena PAC-1 Cub Scouts. And what I found is that leadership is probably the most important factor in all of those organizations. And I think that if we don't keep track of what's going on, and there's lots of issues that we're concerned about in our community, and if we don't keep those things on track, then we can sometimes lose the forest for the trees and those issues go unsettled. So the last thing that I wanted to leave you with is that Altadena residents, we really value our family and our community, especially our environment and a lot of our history. And that's something that I have a lot of value in personally as well. We live in one of the most unique areas in Los Angeles County. The first day I moved here, we moved here for this reason specifically. My wife and I are trail runners, and this is just the best place to do that. There's no other place that you can enjoy the solitude of the mountains and then still take your loved one down to downtown LA for dinner and a show. So those are the kinds of things that I'd like to preserve for our community and work through the town council for. And I hope that our kids and other people can enjoy that. So thank you for your time tonight, and hopefully I'll be able to serve you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Thank you for your statement. Next person that we have is 460302, Gloria Sanyiki.
Well, basically, I'm running for the Altadena Town Council because I want to continue to make a difference in my community, and I want to be part of the solution that moves our town forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you. Thank you for your statement. Next, we have 4610, Antonio Becerra.
All right, well, thank you everyone for the opportunity to share my statement. My name's Antonio Becerra, and excuse me? Javier, I get that a lot, but no. But yeah, Antonio Becerra, running for Census Tract 4610. And I was actually born and raised in Pasadena, and moved to Altadena about 8 years ago. And during my time, since moving 8 years ago, I've noticed a lot of changes in this community. One of them being the neighborhood Walmart, which has come and gone. And I've also noticed or experienced threats to natural disasters. Remember a few years ago, we had a very bad windstorm and we were out of electricity for about 3 to 5 days. And I myself have also been a victim of theft where someone broke into my car and stole my car battery. And while that wasn't fun, but a very fun experience, these are the type of issues that are driving me to get more involved in my community. And while I don't have a political background or political experience, you know, people are always saying, you know, get involved in your community, go out there and do something. And so this is my bit to, you know, hopefully provide a tangible contribution and to, you know, provide my talents and my skills and to make a difference in my community. And so for that reason, hopefully, I have your support. And, you know, now that I figured that, you know, people were going to be appointed, but that was my line, to have your support. And, yeah, that's my commitment to you, to have your integrity and to listen to both sides.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your statement. Next, we have 4611, Patricia Sutherlen.
See, I'm crossing things off already on the things that I was going to say. For,
Can I say something quickly? Just for legitimacy, can we have all the candidates stand at the podium and give their
Yes.
speeches? I just think it looks a lot better for record. I'm sorry to make you stand up, but.
ooh, wait a minute, I'm slow now. Especially for the people, our soon-to-be new council members. 4611 is the census tract that runs from basically Lake to Fair Oaks and from Woodbury to Mariposa. So that is Justin in my census tract. I've now been a council member for almost 4 years. And when I joined the council, I said that my top priority was communication, and it is still my top priority, which is communication. This year, we have a election with no contested seats, which I do see as an opportunity, as we've said before. When we revised the bylaws, we updated how we do things. Now we really have an opportunity to talk about what do we do. And that is something that I think that we have the opportunity to do, especially in the next 6 or however many weeks it is until the official election. There we go. And I think it would be excellent for all, I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to almost pretend that I'm actually going to go for a regular election. So I'll do flyers, anything to encourage my census tract to come to the forum, because I think we have the ability to make that. It was pretty good last year, but I think we have the ability to make it even better this year. And there's my communication. So I will look forward to sharing it all with you on May 30th? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sutherlen. 4612, Jennifer Lee.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been a resident of Altadena for 12 years, and 4612 is over near south of Mendocino, north of New York Drive, and east of Lake. During my time on the council, I've been a member of the Filming Committee and the Nominating Committee, and I've served on the Land Use Committee until last year when I became chair of the Education Committee. And the mission of our Education Committee is to increase enrollment in the Pasadena Unified School District schools that are in Altadena. The committee meets monthly, and twice a year we host town halls to give Altadena residents the opportunity to meet parents of PUSD students, as well as the principals and school board members. These town halls have been very well attended, and they serve as community gatherings for residents. Our public schools are often a big topic of conversation. In fact, I don't think I can go anywhere really and mention that I have a child and somebody starts talking about the school system. So being on this committee and being the chair of this committee is very important to me. I'm very committed to the Pasadena Unified Schools in Altadena. In addition to our biannual town halls, the Education Committee collaborated with the principal of Elliott Arts Magnet Academy to bring a dynamic celebration of Women's History Month, which had not been done. And this collaborative celebration involved our local politicians, which I think is also important for our local politicians and our superintendent to come to Altadena and to see the students here. And our plan is to have this celebration grow larger for 2019 and 2020. I've enjoyed being a town council member, and I'm running for re-election. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Thank you. She's not supposed to do that. What are you going to do if you're not going to be here? Okay, next. Are you letting them take?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's a good question for the forum. All right. Thank you, Ms. Jennifer Lee. Next, we have 4613, Diane Markison.
Okay, hi. I'm from 4613, which I lovingly call Bajadena. We're the part of Altadena that doesn't look like we're part of Altadena. We have a Pasadena address, Pasadena water. We have a special challenge there that I've been working on for the last 8 years that I've been on town council, and I was on land use 5 years before that. So I have quite a background in the town council. I have developed an extraordinary relationship with county organizations, and I work hard all across Altadena to help folks work out their issues with the county where I can. I also, this past year, well, for the last really 3 or 4 years, was part of the management, not participatory altogether, but the management of the CSD, which is the new overlay that we did that we got approved and what we're working on with fences and hedges now. So, and that was an extreme effort that we put on that we hadn't done for 20 years. So that was updated through the Land Use Committee subcommittee. And I've facilitated communication with my neighbors. They often think they live in Pasadena. So we work really hard to try to, Sylvia and I both do. She goes around and door knocks because she's a realtor. And so we work very hard to try to make sure that they understand that they are part of Altadena and all of the great things that Altadena provides us, including our great library, farmers market, and all of that. So I look forward to another 2 years of representing Pasadena. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Diane. I think my chair is about to jump over this thing, so we will now hear from the chair. Mr. Okorie Ezieme.
Thank you.
It's his time.
Actually, the center, they have to close soon. So I'm really not sure how we're going to do this, but very quickly, I think the community knows me. I'm Okorie Ezieme. I'm chair. I believe I'm the longest sitting council member on the town council. You all know what I stand for. I believe in a democracy that leaders have no more power than people give them. Power is really with the people. And I also believe in the fact that we are servants to the community. And I'm a firm believer that we as individuals should never, ever allow our personal agenda to override or surpass that of the community that we represent. The community comes first. In terms of achievement, I have served at every capacity within the Altadena Town Council. The first official flag was under our leadership. So basically a lot of things. I also believe in progressive ideas and community engagement. This hall is always full, and that's what we wanted to do, engage the community. So having said that, the council members, I'm not sure what you like to do because we need to kind of wrap up. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will come out at the forum, and if you have any questions for me. Thank you.
If we're concerned about time and the community center is closing, we don't have a choice. I mean, I know I was going to make a report. Can those who make a report that choose to make it online to the council members?
Right.
I know it's not public, but it's not like for the Chamber of Commerce, which I'll be doing. Can I do that online as a report to the council members? For the sake of us closing.
Yes.
I don't know if we can do that.
Let me close this report,
Yes.
because it has to go to a vote. So I'd like to thank everybody for their statements. Don't forget about the candidates forum and swearing in. And with that said, Mr. Chair, I'm going to move for acceptance of this November 2018 election committee report. No, it's an election. It's an election
Okay,
report.
second?
It's been second.
Okay, so you've heard that it's seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposing? Okay.
Mr. Chair, that ends
Any
the
abstention?
report.
Thank you.
And I'm going to defer the next report until next time, if that's all right.
Okay, abstain. Okay, so again, is there anything else quickly we need to do? The Safe Street Mobility and,
Can you email it to us? I just want to make a quick announcement, and then I can email the details.
please.
So anyway, we had a great town hall on April 28th, and what will be happening is we have now established our first public meeting, which will be Thursday, June 7th. So the first Thursday of every month will be Altadena Safe Streets Committee, and we're focusing, of course, on all modes and abilities, and I will give the report to all the town council members on all the cool stuff we learned. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, I think we are there, so please, I did receive a request from the community, from the community center. They would like for us, after the each meeting to please clean behind us so that we don't have litters everywhere. Please, let's respect that and tidy up the place, take your papers and things like that. So I'd like to entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, so it's been properly motioned and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so time is 10:26.